What is up, everyone? Kristen Shrigio here, coming to you from Beyond the Veil. We're going to go over some interesting things in this live stream. An evil twin universe could be behind our universe's rapid expansion. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about quantum theory. We're going to talk about time travel. And we're also going to talk about some current events, too. So it's just going to be a jam-packed show with a lot of different information. Before we do that, let's let a few people join us here in the chat, and we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I speak my mind, now they're tracking me. Tagged as a threat for what I see. I call the lies, won't play their game. Truth is my weapon, I'll stake my claim. From the playbook moves to the global scene. Expose the plot, unravel the scheme. Speak my mind, now they're tapping my line. Algorithms watch every move online. Why? Cause I think I won't conform. Truth's a weapon in a digital storm. Ukraine's a pawn, Zelensky's a face. Proxy wars in a high-stakes race. The game was mapped, page by page. New world order in a digital age. Wanna know the plan, start to track the scams. Corporate elites in the metaverse land. AI tech is the new frontier. Control the data, keep the people in fear. From BlackRock deals to Silicon ties. Tech overlords selling freedom's demise. One big cabal, they're running it all. Deep fakes, surveillance, and digital thrall. I speak my mind, now they're tracking me. Tagged as a threat for what I see. I call the lies, won't play their game. Truth is my weapon, I'll stake my claim. From the playbook moves to the global scene. Expose the plot, unravel the scheme. It's all on repeat for the digital sheep. Scrolling the feed, into the deep. Clickbait wars, they control the flow. Divide the masses with every post. AI, overlords and social scores. Censorship knocking on digital doors. From TikTok trends to misinformation. Control the youth with media sedation. Crypto bubbles and virtual land. Fleecing the people with a sleight of hand. Central banks push digital cash. Track every dollar, erase the stash. Global resets and carbon fines. Control the world one step at a time. But they censor me when I call it out. Label me French, fill the world with doubt. I speak my mind, now they're tracking me. Tagged as a threat for what I see. I call the lies, won't play their game. Truth is my weapon, I'll stake my claim. From the playbook moves to the global scene. Expose the plot, unravel the scheme. From Google bots to the thought control. Speech is a currency, they tax the soul. Vax IDs, they're coming soon. Big brother watches, we're the tune. Spin the narrative, poison the mind. A world of fear, truth's hard to find. Puppet leaders in a global script. Wars they fund, the profits flipped. Climate agendas, data they store. Track the skies and the ocean's floor. But I write these rhymes for a time like this. Documenting every hit and miss. Blacklist my voice, but it won't fade. The truth's a fire, they'll never evade. I'll speak my piece, let the record play. A call for freedom in a world of decay. I speak my mind, now they're tracking me. Tagged as a threat for what I see. I call the lies, won't play their game. Truth is my weapon, I'll stake my claim. From the playbook moves to the global scene. Expose the plot, unravel the scheme. Unravel the scheme.
Should have played that one a little bit later when we talk about politics.
That one's fun, though.
It is, but it didn't really go with the theme of what we're talking about in the opening.
Yeah.
So, an evil twin universe could be behind our universe's rapid expansion. I thought this would be a good point. We can start it off, but there's so much going on in the world right now that we definitely need to get into that. But I wonder if we could tie it all in together with this. The universe here that they're talking about seems to be going backwards.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's something is making the fabric of our universe grow at an ever accelerating rate, and scientists are stumped on what it could be. Maybe gravity starts to misbehave over cosmic scales, or perhaps the rolling of railing of pure emptiness creates some kind of negative pressure that we're yet to explain. For now, dark energy acts as a placeholder for descriptions of the mysterious tide of expansion, inviting all manner of speculation on what the poltergeist and the intergalactic shadows may actually look like. Naman Kumar, a PhD student at the Indian Institute of Technology, has a few thoughts which he outlined recently in a pair of published papers. One of his proposals arises from the assumption that our universe isn't as lonely as it appears. So rewind your watch far back enough through the ages, you'll eventually get to a point where all matter was confined in a hot, dense swarm of subatomic particles churning with possibility. And before that, something quantum physics. To fill in the missing details, we'll need a new theory that seamlessly melds general relativity's stretching fabric with the discrete threads of quantum mechanics, or replaces both with something radical and new. Kumar's model starts with the quantum phenomenon of matter generation. Given the right conditions, virtual particles have an appreciable chance of popping into existence in an entangled partnership, one tiny piece of matter and an antimatter twin. This could be one positron and one electron, or one charm quark and one anti-charm quark.
Well, it's interesting that they mention that, because when you look at the subatomic level, that's what you have. You always have a positive and negative charge.
A binary.
So, yeah, a binary.
A zero or one.
Exactly. Yeah, a zero and one. That's a great way to put it. So the idea of a twin universe that's connected to ours. Like, I think what the big picture is there's multiple universes. But we always think of multiverse as in like multiple universes and that's it.
That are bubbles.
Not necessarily connected to each other in any way,
or
except for
each other.
maybe like a bubble, like on a piece of ceramic. What is that? That stuff that you pop?
Yeah, bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap. Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
But the idea that there's actually two connected to one another, and in this case, one is moving backwards and the other moving forward. I like what you said earlier. You said that it's like a movie screen, and you can see on one side, you can see an image projected one way, and you see the image backwards on the other when you're on the other perspective.
Because it's a simulated reality. I think that on the basement level of this is the fact that it's a simulated reality, and they apparently, physicists and scientists have realized this over the years, but they don't want to just come out and say it, because it's going to cause a lot of upheaval in people's minds. Like, oh my God, I feel really claustrophobic right now, because I just realized we're not in a real reality. This is actually a simulated, projected reality that we're all buying into, because we're all having a human experience right now. And so reality isn't what we think it is. Oh my God, that would undo a lot of institutions just on its face. Then you have the second idea, which is that whenever they're creating a quantum computer, did you know that what separates a quantum computer from a regular computer with transistors and stuff like that is that the transistors themselves can be two at the same time. And that's why it has twice the processing power, because instead of being a binary system where it's either 0 or it's 1, the transistors have it to where it can be both at the same time.
Right. It can be both true and false at the same time.
Right.
Which is interesting, because we've always thought as true and false, or off and on, as being static.
Right.
But you bring a quantum level in, and both can be true and false at the same time.
It's the Schrodinger's cat problem on a quantum level. Like, until it's observed, it can be either. And that's
I remember we talked about this a few
quantum.
years ago, and that completely changed my perspective on things.
Yep.
Because I've always thought there has to be some kind of truth that's static. There has to be some kind of variable that's static, either A or B. But no, not when you get to the quantum level, it changes completely.
Yeah. It changes to a reality where it doesn't even make sense in our minds, and it's difficult to wrap your head around it, but that's what it is. On a quantum level, anything can be either at the same time. And so instead of 2 possibilities, you have 4. And whenever you put those transistors up together, you get twice as much.
Well, let's think about it like this.
Processing power.
In one universe, there's 2 choices, right? but both choices exist at the same time. So in one universe, we put the cats in the other room. In this universe, we let the cats run free.
Right.
And so they're all in our laps now.
Is it a garden of forking paths, or is it that the universe already has it set to where we didn't put the cats in the, in
This
the other room?
universe.
In this, but
in the other universe, we did.
Perhaps we did, but that opens up a whole new can of worms with multiverses on top of an antimatter universe.
Right.
That's just, it blows my mind to think about.
Well, I'm thinking about it in the
here.
perspective of the twin universe, because the twin universe is two universes connected to each other, directly connected to each other. Now, are those two then connected to another one, like the two become one, and then they're connected to another two that became one?
Is that the singularity?
And then those two, right, those two become one, and it's just like a big pyramid for all intents and purposes.
Right. Well, and it looks like right now, the way they make it sounds like it's almost like in that point in time is where, we are, except in the opposite. And so if they could look through some kind of wormhole at this twin universe, they would know exactly what's going to happen for the next forever. And that brings up the subject of free will.
Well, before we get into that, supposedly quantum computers tap into another dimension to pull information from that dimension.
That's right.
So if they're able to tap into it, even looking glass technology or whatever you want to call it, maybe it's not looking at this reality. Maybe it's looking at the universe that's moving backwards and examining what happened there, because everything that happened in our future happened in its past.
Right.
And so it brings a whole new level of time travel, at least maybe not time travel in the sense of being able to move a body from one time space to another, but sending information back and forth or retrieving information back and forth.
Or sending a consciousness.
So, if I had a counterpart on the other side, on the other universe, another me.
An evil twin, basically.
I want to get into that here in a minute, but if I had a me and I was able to contact that other me and say, hey, check it out. I need some information about what happened in your past, which is going to be our future. And I'll give you information about what's happening in our past to help you with your future. That would be a great symbiotic relationship.
Would it though?
And if they've been able to tap into that, even on a very base level, it explains a lot.
But wouldn't it change, just by its very nature, wouldn't it cause grandfather paradoxes and things like that, just simply because knowing the future, if you knew that you were going to run somebody over with your car, of course you would not run over somebody with your car and you'd stay in that day, which would then cause a cascading effect that may disentangle the entire universes from each other and cause...
Okay, but are these paradoxes actually paradoxes?
Canceling out.
Because there's two ways to look at it. Like, you can't go back to the past and kill your grandfather because you didn't.
Of course.
Because you didn't. Or, there's multiple ways to look at this. It could be that, as we've said before in the show, time is like a river and it's a stream, and you throw a rock into it and the stream just goes right around.
Yeah.
And,
as if the rock were never there.
Yeah, you throw a pebble and that's even less. So you go back and you kill your grandfather, and then you find out that that wasn't really your grandfather. You were actually adopted.
Right.
The universe will make
else.
adjustments like that for that. So if it's a self-correcting system, which it was Dr. Gates. Remember Dr. Gates that we were talking about a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how he found a self-correcting computer code in string theory itself, which is in the fabric of space-time.
Yeah.
A self-correcting computer code. And it wasn't just any computer code. It was an identifiable computer code that was written in the 1950s by the father of robotics, Claude Shannon. Now, how is he? Because computer code is it's complex.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like looking at the clouds. I've made this example before, but it's not like looking at the clouds and saying, "Oh, I see the
An
shape of a
elephant.
giraffe."
Yeah.
This is actually like seeing like letters. Like you see letters on the screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
An evil twin universe could be behind our universe's rapid expansion. It's like looking into the fabric of space-time and finding English letters that are spelling out specific words. Like, that doesn't happen by coincidence. So if it's a self-correcting system, then going back to the past or future, then the time stream would correct itself in the least obstructive kind of way. Or the other way to look at it is you went back in the past and did what you did because you already did. So it's always happened. So the movie is like printed frame by frame in an entire reel. And we're just seeing it just one frame at a time. But because you went back to the past, you went back to the past. And so it's just there. It's always going to be
I
there
can
no matter
see
what.
that. But if it's a universe that hasn't happened yet for us, but has happened a certain way in the twin universe.
Yes, but you're assuming that time is linear. And see, that's the thing. The whole premise is that time is linear. But is length and width and height linear? It's not.
No.
So on the same token, if you go into a higher dimension and you look at time as another dimension, it doesn't have to be linear. It could be a construct, like a solid construct that you can map out and pinpoint. So it's all been created all from the very beginning. Like all of time came into existence instead of time is moving one frame at a time. We just experience it at one frame at a time. But because it all came into existence as once like one movie reel, then if you went back into the past and killed your grandfather, then you went back in the past and killed your grandfather. Does that make sense?
Right. You already did it.
It's already in the movie.
Right. You already did it. So
that's one way to look at it too. So it's interesting.
That is interesting.
What I wanted to comment on, and I know you had a point that you raised earlier about free will, and I want to get into that here in just a second. But why do we call it an evil twin universe? How do we know we're not the evil twin universe?
One. Yeah.
Because what's going on in the world right now seems pretty freaking evil, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, if what we're seeing now with the pizza stuff, World War III, all that stuff that's being exposed, if that's not evil, if that doesn't justify being the evil universe, shit, I don't even want to know what's in that other universe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like cannibalism running rampant over
Remember
there.
the movie Event Horizon where they go to hell?
Yeah, I wonder if it's
and
like
they come
that.
and they're just like
it would have to be more evil than this place.
You know, that movie they had to cut a lot of scenes from it because they couldn't get an R rating with all the scenes that were cut. And you can find the cut scenes and it's like blood orgies with people slicing their faces off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like just really twisted stuff.
Yeah.
And so is that what's going on in the other universe? Or is that what's going on in our
because that means
universe?
it's our
And they're
future.
looking at us going like, oh my God, these people are freaking crazy.
Well, and if it would make sense why the universe ended if it's that bad over there. But apparently, if it's a twin of this universe, that means it might have been that bad at the end, and then they got more civilized as time went backwards. Because it's a twin of this universe. It's like literally like the other side of a picture.
Or maybe there was one big explosion that merged the two universes together and they both happened at the same time.
Maybe.
So imagine you have two movie reels running. They're running opposite to each other, but there's an event. And when that event happens, the singularity, the single event that happens in both universes at the same time, then boom, blows up both of the universes.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. There's
just thinking out loud.
Also, Terence McKenna's theory of the fractal soliton of improbability, which suggested that an event in our past divided our time stream and two copies came into existence.
Yeah, I find that highly improbable.
And they went apart from each other, but then because of the laws of, quantum mechanics and everything, they came back together. they went out and then they joined back together around like 2012, 2020, somewhere around there. And that explains a lot of Mandela effects and things like that happening in what we consider our universe. But it could be because there's, so much of what didn't happen in that other universe that happened in ours concerning religion and things like that. We've been blinded to it. Like, we don't see it as another universe or a parallel universe that's merged back with ours. We see it as, oh, okay, well, we're evolving finally.
Well, one interesting thing about McKenna's time wave zero, well, not time wave zero, I'm sorry, I take that back.
Well, they both go together.
Yeah. Well, his
Practice
idea of parallel universes is that there's a universe, well, an Earth at the very least, a parallel Earth, where religion didn't happen. And so scientific advance happened hundreds of years before it actually happens here.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't the religious hierarchy blocking scientific discovery and everything like that.
Right. And also the use of, certain plants and things like that the Mayans, when they were discovered by the Greco-Romans, they mated with each other basically in terms of psychopharmaceuticals. And because of that, they were all using plants and stuff. And instead of the church coming down on them after the conversion of Constantine, you had this explosion of scientific knowledge and wisdom that came from the plants.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
I can see that happening. That's one thing. I've been seeing article after article about this, and there's a big war on plants. There always has been.
Yeah.
I mean, they declared war in the 1980s on plants.
Yeah.
Because everything comes from plants ultimately. And it's so, as we put in our Tanner's McKenna video, what are the repercussions for making this really interesting and unexplored aspect of the human experience illegal? Like, how does that affect consciousness on a global level when you don't have people who are leveling up that should be leveling up? I mean, a lot of people are breaking the bounds and saying, oh, I don't care what they say, I'm still going to do what I do and to expand my consciousness. Yeah, myself included.
Myself included too. Yeah.
But what if we didn't have those restrictions? And like the shamans, where this type of thing is not just encouraged, but also guided as a rite of passage in a lot of cultures.
And almost a requirement in a lot of cultures too. Like, you can't hold office unless you've done this.
Yeah.
Because you aren't going to have the wisdom.
We talked about that a while back. In order to hold office, you have to have a certain number of ayahuasca experiences to deal with all your BS and all of that beforehand. It would be an interesting test to do to see how the world leadership would then handle itself, because
how would it change?
You become selfless to a certain degree when you realize the depths of how we're all connected. Even though I don't like the whole connection to source and I like to maintain my individuality, we are still all connected
to each other.
And at a certain point, at a certain degree, we're all consciousness that's floating in the same ocean, and we're connected to each other just like every drop in the ocean is connected to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't make it. It doesn't mean they're connected to source. It just means that they all coexist. We all coexist in this reality together, whether we like it or not. And we find out that destroying other parts of ourselves is just going to hurt ourselves in the long run. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The one thing that I've always
found, it's like the ocean poisoning itself.
I've always found dark matter to be very interesting, because they consider dark matter to be an energy, something that actually exists, but it doesn't have substance, it doesn't have form, it doesn't have light. But what if it does? And we're seeing the other side of it. It's like shining a flashlight. Flashlight shining, but you're seeing it from the back.
Right.
So you're not seeing the light shining towards you.
Oh, that's a good point.
And so, I mean, it goes right along the lines of the suns dying out and becoming black holes. Do they become black holes? What are black holes? Are black holes suns that have died, or are they suns that exist on another dimension? Maybe in the twin universe, where in the twin universe
maybe.
they're the sun, and here they're black holes.
Oh, that makes sense. Because we still haven't figured out what those are.
Yeah.
And it would make sense if they were still suns in the other place, but they're black holes here. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, I was watching a video about black holes the other day, and it was talking about how time stops in a black hole. The closer you get to the black hole, at least according to Einstein, the closer you get to a gravitational body, the slower time goes. But for the person there, time is moving at what they consider to be normal. But your perspective of watching them, the example that they set forth is, let's say that there's a person going into a black hole on a spacecraft and they're waving, right? And so the closer they get to black hole, the slower the waving gets from your perspective. But they're actually still waving at the same speed.
Yeah, it's warped for you, but not for them.
Yeah. And they put forth the idea that if we can get close enough to a black hole, we can theoretically see everything that has been pulled into that black hole, because it comes to a point to where it moves so slow that it just stands still.
Yeah.
So any planet, any spacecraft, anything that's been pulled into that black hole would still be there. At least the image of it, the visual of it, even though it's long gone, but it's moving so slow.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you pop out of the other side? Do you burn up because you're popping into a sun? Or
that's the question.
Is it a portal to someplace in
Well, maybe they can
space
send Voyager 1 to
or
it.
time?
Have you heard about Voyager 1?
You were telling me about it earlier.
Suddenly, so it stopped working like 4 years ago, and then suddenly turns itself back on and starts communicating with us again. My question is, how is something that's 82 billion miles away, supposedly, going to turn itself off and then fix itself when it's that far away? They're trying to say that it has to do with the knobs and stuff and the connection to the fuel and everything. But I still don't see it. I don't see how something that's mechanical, created by us, can break down 4 years ago and then suddenly turn itself back on and start talking to us with data again after 4 years of an operation.
Maybe it hit something.
I'm
You
wondering if
remember
maybe it
like
hit
the old
something.
school TVs, all you had to do is smack them and then it would start working again?
Maybe, or maybe aliens. I'm just saying, I'm just going to say it out loud. Maybe aliens got a hold of it and they started communicating with us back with it. And our government was like, oh, we're not going to let that go out, and told us that it stopped working. And then for the past 4 years, they've been working with the aliens and they're getting ready for Blue Beam. And so they're going to turn it back on again now.
Could be.
Because now they're going to...
Blue Beam is an interesting thing right now because of so much alien disclosure and UFO disclosure and all of that. It's...
Yeah, 4 years before we all die.
You have to be multidimensional when you look at things, in my humble opinion. I have to be multidimensional. I don't want to tell people what to do. But I have to be multidimensional. So I have to see Blue Beam as either, A, it's aliens coming back. And so they put out this whole thing about, oh, we're going to do a staged alien invasion. That way when they actually come back,
we don't believe it.
We don't believe them. Or it is a legit staged alien invasion. Or, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at it.
Well, I think where science is at right now, they know that something big is going to happen in 4 years. So they're like, okay, well, let's distract the public with all this scientific disclosure that will just rock their freaking world and blow their freaking minds, so that they ignore the fact that Apophis is coming. And even if it's not projected to hit us, it is going to endure quakes and surface shifts during the flyby. So what does that mean? that means the Earth's pull is at least strong enough to where they're predicting that it's going to endure quakes and seismic shifts and surface shifts. Do we know? How do we know that it's not going to pull it sucker in? If it's strong enough to do that, then it's probably strong enough to pull it in. I don't know. That just sounds really...
On October 13th, 2029, the asteroid 99942... 999.
Mm-hmm. 666.
Apophis will pass within
Upside down.
20,000 miles of Earth's surface, making it the closest approach of an asteroid of its size that humans ever observed in advance. Apophis will be visible to the naked eye from parts of Asia, Africa, and Europe. It will be about 3 times dimmer than Polaris and will shift about a moon's width from the sky every minute. Earth's gravity will distort Apophis' surface, which could trigger quakes and landslides. It will also alter the asteroid's orbit around the sun, moving it to the Aten's group to... Oh, the Aten. I've never heard of that. I got to look into that. To the Aten's group.
Oh, and the mission
to the Apollo
go to
group. This will be the unprecedented opportunity for astronomers to get a close-up view of the asteroid, NASA's Osiris. Oh, you're freaking kidding me.
I'm not kidding.
Oh, come on.
Then they call it the Ramses Project, the Rapid Apophis mission for space safety. But it's not unsafe, even though we've called this the Rapid Apophis mission for space safety.
NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft, now on extended mission called OSIRIS-APEX, will arrive at Apophis about 1 month after its flyby.
They think we're stupid. They think we're stupid.
You can't make this stuff up. The asteroid was named after Apophis, a villain in the television series Stargate SG-1. A villain in Stargate SG-1. It wasn't the Egyptian god of destruction.
Egyptian god of destruction. No, even though we're calling everything Egyptian names. Just ignore that and focus on Star Trek.
Apophis Apep, the god of chaos, darkness, and destruction, represents the eternal struggle between order and chaos. Often depicted as a colossal serpent or dragon symbolizing primal chaos. Apophis is the eternal adversary of Ra, the sun god. Each night, as Ra sails through the underworld on his celestial boat, Apophis tries to devour or block the sun, threatening cosmic order. Apophis represents the concept of disorder and destruction, directly opposing Mot, the principle of balance and harmony upheld by the gods.
Order, yeah.
His defeat every night ensures that the sunrise and continuation of life. The daily victory of Ra over Apophis symbolizes the cyclical nature of life and the perpetual fight against chaos.
Okay, so wait a second. An asteroid hitting the Earth would cause, number one, the sun to go away.
Well, no. Hold on. Before we get into the hitting the Earth, just think about what they said. This is what they're admitting.
Yeah.
That it's going to cause quakes, landslides, and major disruption. Now, this thing is what? It's a few kilometers wide?
Yeah.
It's not very big when you think about it. How is it going to cause that much disruption by flying close to the Earth? It's not supposed to be. If it's as big as they say it is, or as small as they say it is, compared to the Earth, it's not supposed to cause any disruption or anything like that. It's not like it's as big as the moon and it's going to be able to pull on tides and things like that.
Unless it's a lot bigger than they're letting on.
Yeah.
That makes sense too.
Right. And I like this. I like what you said about this because I never thought about it, because I was like, you know what? It's a little bit too far away. It's 20,000 miles from Earth's surface, and you think about this thing being 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers wide. That's not very big. That's 20,000 miles away or 10,000 miles away. However, you're right. The Earth's gravitational pull will pull that thing in. I mean,
it goes out for hundreds of miles, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And thousands of miles if you're facing away from the sun. It goes out even like 100 times further.
I mean, that's pretty damn close.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
I think the Earth can pull that thing in.
I think it can too.
That's what Jupiter does. Jupiter's supposed to be blocking all this stuff. For some reason, Jupiter's not stepping in to protect us from this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And because it's on the wrong side, I think. I think it's because Apophis isn't coming from the Oort cloud. and it's coming from the other direction, which is rare. But just that fact alone, has kept Jupiter from being able to intercept this. It's insane what they're admitting to versus reality doesn't make sense to me. It sounds like it sounds like a really stupid explanation. Either it's bigger than they're saying, or they know it's going to hit, and they're just trying to buy time. I mean,
I'm sorry that we don't have the phone lines hooked up today, ladies and gentlemen. I had to reinstall Windows, and they made me upgrade to Windows 11, and I hated it, so I went back to Windows 10. And we just got everything ready so we can do a show tonight. We'll take calls on the next show, but Savage Royalty said, I want to share this for the sake of the space. I've come across the experiential awareness that the human body is eternal, and it has the ability to shapeshift, which is how it travels through eternity. And the way to experience the awareness is through the form of articulations and conceptualization. And I think you guys are super tapped in and interested. Oh, thank you very much for the compliments.
Thank you.
I would love to hear more about that. Please, hit the subscribe button and make sure you get notified of our next show, because I promise I'll have the call board hooked up at that point, because I do want to hear more about that. But I think this universe is coming to an end.
Yeah, I think so.
In
too.
one way or another.
Either we're going to end it with our scientific inexperience using toys that are much too big for us to be using, or through something like that. One of the, it's not that our universe will end, it's that the Earth might, and life on Earth might. That makes sense to me.
I want to say something controversial, and I don't want anybody to be offended by it, because it's not something I believe, but it's something I've thought about. Now, hear me out. If they know that something like this is coming in 2029, and they want to confuse things as much as possible, and they also want to push resources out into that without people asking too many questions, what do? They make things go viral, like flat Earth.
I was just thinking that earlier.
They start to say that
all...
nukes, because that was a weird thing. Okay, the flat Earth thing. We had a lot of flat Earth people on the show. Great people. Mark Sargent is a great guy.
Yeah,
I love the information. It made me think bigger. I never thought to question the shape of the Earth, but that led me into questioning the entire reality, which has then led me to the simulation thing. So it just solidified a lot of things that I knew, but it wasn't the answer. It was the question that was important for me. So I asked the question, and once I asked the question, I reached a completely different conclusion, but I wouldn't have been thinking in that regard if it wasn't for that. However, then all of a sudden it switched to nukes aren't real. And I was like, wait a second. We dropped an A-bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Like, that's factual.
Yeah, that's fact.
What are we talking about with nukes? We're talking about H-bombs.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger force, but it's the same concept that's already been proven. And so how did that go from, hey, the Earth is flat, to, hey, nukes aren't real? Yeah. The two don't seem to connect to each other.
No.
Unless you are, and I'm not saying it's a flat Earth people. I'm saying where this came from. And again, I'm just thinking
where this information
on the other side.
Yeah.
If I was trying to cover something like this up, and I knew we were going to get into World War III as a pretext to something like this, maybe even staged alien invasion, to keep people from looking at the sky, at least in this regard, and be able to funnel a bunch of money, then I would start putting it out there. Nukes aren't real, flat Earth,
distraction.
all this is a dome, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No, not a distraction. It's not to distract. It's to create the controversy. So people are arguing. It's like, hey, let's take the 9/11 truthers and let's use them for our benefit.
I think they've been doing that for a long time. I think
possibly, but does that not make sense from an evil genius perspective.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Because you had Kara Rosen come out and say, first it's going to be Russians, then it's going to be asteroids, and it's going to be a staged alien invasion, and this came supposedly from Werner von Braun. And she said it in 2000, and back then we were still doing Russians and terrorists and
we are
in
again.
Caves, and we are again. We're
Have you
repeating
heard
it
of
again.
the Al Qaeda news?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're
Totally
repeating that again.
Yeah.
So, what's next? I mean, we're on the brink of World War III right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a lot of people out there saying nukes aren't real.
Right.
Even though I think we're going to see one go off.
I think we are too.
I mean,
I hate
according
to
to
admit
all
that,
of our,
but-
we did some ayahuasca experiences at some sites, some ancient sites last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing kept coming up. In August, there's going to be a big explosion. August, there's going to be a big explosion. August, there's going to be a big explosion. And we were attempting to shift the timeline away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we did a pretty good job of it because it didn't happen in August.
Right.
But like I said before about time being a river,
Yeah.
you put an obstruction in and fine, it'll go around that obstruction, but it'll go right back to the path of least resistance right after that obstruction.
Exactly.
And you and I are just pebbles.
We can't hold it off forever, and we thought maybe by stopping it in August, that meant we were stopping it, period.
But there was one factor that we knew was going to happen, and it didn't happen. Trump
he was going to,
was not supposed to be here now.
right.
That was a huge shift, whether
Yeah.
it was divine intervention or time travel technology, looking glass technology, whatever the case may be. He was not supposed to be here.
Or
That
people
changed
from the outside.
everything.
Yeah. Just like putting a small, I mean, this was a huge rock in the river. I mean, this changed
If
the,
what we do
the course of
are
the river.
pebbles, Trump is a rock.
Yeah.
But still, even a rock, the time stream will go back to normal right after it goes around the obstruction. But that obstruction is there now and
Yeah.
changed the course of things, at least to a certain degree. But maybe it changed things from August to December.
Right.
Or maybe we can avert it completely.
I'm hoping we can avert it completely. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that both sides of the Russia-Ukraine thing want to make it to the table without having to resort to that. It doesn't look good for the ruble right now. Things are not going well for Russia economically. So there's a lot of reasons to suggest that they're going to walk away with some of the Ukrainian, quote unquote, Ukrainian territory. But those people have wanted to be Russian this whole time. And their schools are already turning Russian. That it's basically as if some of the northern states got taken over by Canada, to us. That's how Russia sees this situation. Is if Canada suddenly took a bunch of our northern states and said, this is our territory now. That wouldn't be cool with us.
Michelle is saying that remote viewers are seeing something happening in the U.S. in December, January, February. See, we were seeing things happening in Las Vegas in late August.
Yeah, we were seeing things.
And this was going all the way back to the eclipse in April. And we were just like, hey, that's cool. We were totally at peace with it.
Yeah.
We were like, yeah, no, we're good.
If it happens,
Ready to go home.
Yep,
Yeah.
we're ready to go home anyway.
We weren't thinking about the running, getting out. And it was like, okay, cool. All right. That means our job is done.
Yeah.
Good. But it didn't happen. And that's good that it didn't happen.
It's good that it didn't happen, but yeah, because you'd have such a loss of life. And then it would also, like we said last time, it would cause such a ripple effect of runaway nuclear warfare that you can't win. Nobody wins.
Well, here's the thing.
Argument.
We saw it happening in August. Other people are seeing happening it in December, January, February.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that nobody knew that Putin had this technology until just a couple of days ago.
Right.
He's got Mach 10 rockets that can
Missiles,
hit the United States in 11 minutes, and
Yeah.
nothing can stop them.
Yep. Exactly. And
Nobody knew about this. I
we don't
mean,
have any
there were some
technology.
people, Russian people knew about this, but, it's not in our consciousness
It's right.
to drink ayahuasca at these sites and go, oh, this is going to happen. How is this going to happen?
Right. We were thinking at the time, like, how could this happen unless our military lets them do it? But it's not even a matter of that anymore. It's not even a matter of that anymore. It's a matter of we can't keep up with it. And I saw this article the other day. Oh, look at our new Mach 8 missiles. It's like, that's a little slower.
You're like, hey, check it out. Here's my Honda Civic. And the other guy's got a freaking Lambo. They're like, oh, well, it's a Honda Civic.
It's a good car.
It's a 2024. Okay, yeah, but
It's a good car.
they've got a Lamborghini. Okay, it's not going to beat. You're not going to beat their Lamborghini. Sorry, it's just not going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. And especially at the rate that they're creating these missiles.
So the best thing to do is don't ask them to race.
Yeah, exactly. Don't,
because it's going to be a losing
you're
endeavor.
going to lose. You are going to lose that. And that's why they're having to put out psyops about Putin right now, about how he's weak and pathetic and all this. I think it's garbage.
In my opinion, it's strength to not have dropped one already, considering
that
what they've
shows
done
a
to
lot
him.
of self-control, buddy.
Yeah.
And
he got on the news and he said, look, the United States is an enemy now because Ukraine is using United States military technology.
Mm-hmm.
If we bomb a place, we're going to let the people know first, so the people can get out.
Yep.
What more can you ask for?
Right.
I mean, except for not dropping the freaking bomb to begin with.
Well, but see, we're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing for that. Or we're not, but our ruling elite, as he called them, which is a great way to.
I'm glad he
call it. I'm glad
differentiated
he
between
differentiated.
the people and the ruling, quote unquote, elite.
Also, this puts the ball in our military's court and says, if y'all drop one, then the people are going to know it's you and not us. Because we're going to actually warn people first.
That's a good
won't.
spin on it too. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's
Because I
smart.
can see the deep state doing that
I can
and
too.
dropping one
And blaming it on
and
Russia.
blaming it on Russia.
Exactly. And that might be exactly what they do. Just hoping that people don't remember that Putin said that. The flip side of that is he could drop one, not warn anybody, and then just say it was a deep state.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the possibility out there, but I don't think that's a real possibility. I don't think he wants that kind of warfare any more than we do. It's that he keeps getting pushed, and that territory was Russia's to begin with, and the people there want to be Russian and want to teach their children Russian as their language. They don't want to be part of Ukraine, and this has all been to get back the territory that was taken from them.
Do you know, in my opinion, and this is just on puzzle pieces that I've connected, but what I think Ukraine, Iraq, Afghanistan, North Korea, they're all farms.
Mm-hmm.
They're farms where the vampires can go pluck whatever they want out of
It's the
them.
lowest thing.
I'm going to put it like that
Grab it.
so it's not triggering of the AI,
Yeah.
but I think you all know what I mean.
Yep.
Especially these
Networks.
destabilized places.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. You go in there and you pretend that you're some rescue group or something like that and say, hey, we've come to rescue all the children. Have them come with us. Leave the parents here.
Yep. That's exactly what they do.
Right. So that's why we see these wars all over the place. That's one of the reasons. Another reason is funneling money.
They do it to earthquake
resources.
places too.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
saw it play out in Haiti. Just look that up. That's how it played out, and that's how it's always played out, I think. Ever since at least the start of NATO, I think that's how it goes. They're basically giant farms.
I know you have a lot of news articles you wanted to get into, so I thought the twin universe was interesting to start out with, because I wonder if they got some information from there. And they're like, hey, what happens if this goes off? Oh, well, this is what happens, etc. And they're like, okay, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, no, I can see this turning into something really bad simply because China's now getting involved. They had to scramble a bunch of jets in South Korea because China and North Korea were encroaching on their airspace.
Let's hold that for after the break.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back. I should have opened up with this song and played the other song now, but oh well.
It's okay. This one's good.
You did really good on this one.
Aw, thank you.
Just like him. Just like him. Just like him. Fractals bloom within the endless night. 1,000 colors piercing through the light. Lost in the echoes of a realm unknown. Falling through dimensions, alone but home. Just again. Just again. Just again. Just again. Reality bends and the veil pulls away. Shapes of forever begin their ballet. Hold tight as the universe shifts and bends. This is our infinity, it never ends. Just again. Just again. Helio dreams light the cosmic stream, woven through the fabric of the unseen. Hold tight as the universe shifts and bends. This is our infinity, it never ends. Just again. Just again. Just again. Just again. In this moment we are but a spark, flickering bright in the infinite dark. Visions of eternity flood the mind. The self dissolves, no trace to find. To find. Rhythms shift as space begins to fade. Beings of light show the paths they've made, echoing truths in their silent grace, guiding us through this sacred place. Just a bend. Reality
All right, let's jump back into it. I wish we had the call board open because interesting things are being talked about in the chat room. But let's kind of shift it over to politics here for just a moment because it's a fun topic to get into from a higher consciousness
there's so much
perspective.
going on.
It is. It's crazy.
It's
And
crazy out there.
I'm watching it as if like,
It's
okay,
a
cool.
movie.
The Matrix is shutting down, and
The
this
movie
is all
just got
part of the
interesting.
shutdown process. We'll see what happens. Corbin said, "I thought we were on the positive timeline," and I think all things considered, this is the
We
most
are.
positive timeline that we can be on.
Yeah, it really
So,
is.
I mean, it just because we're on the positive timeline doesn't mean that the negative timeline isn't going to sit there and try to get itself back into reality.
Right.
But the interesting thing is being able to shift a lot of these things that are happening and kind of duck and dodge and move strategically. And I see Trump getting in office as a great, great, great thing. It's
Yeah,
a
me too.
great marker of where we are.
Yeah.
And we may be able
Consciousness-wise.
to avert all of this. I mean, that's what I'm hoping, but I'm not putting any emotion into it. That's the
Right.
key, because I'm not going to sit there and be brokenhearted again when things go south. We can't
Exactly.
be. I've got to practice what I preach. And I've always said you have to rid yourself of the emotion to think like a warrior and think strategically.
Mm-hmm.
And I put too much of my heart into the outcome of 2021.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out very well.
Yep. It's like he wasn't wrong, but Louis the 14th once said, first rule of diplomacy is don't show anger. And if you're not showing anger, it can be angry on the inside, but if you're showing anger, it basically is telling the universe, this means a whole lot to me, and I'm going to let this affect my reality, and I'm going to let this affect me on a deep personal level. And so that, I think that's the good piece of that, advice to take, because the universe is going to operate however you do. And if you're telling the universe, oh, this is super duper important to me, and if this doesn't happen, I'm going to, do terrible things to myself, the universe is just going to respond in kind.
Well, it wasn't necessarily that. It was more of, I wanted to see things.
Well, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about,
No, I know. I'm
people
just
that
saying,
are,
it was more of a frequency and an energy of disillusionment and
For us, yeah.
disappointment within the collective consciousness.
right.
Because as individual as we are, and we can shift our own timelines, we're looking at something huge.
Yeah, we're looking at a lot bigger
We're looking
picture.
at the global timeline,
Yeah.
at the global consciousness timeline. And to see so many people shut down, to see so many people wear things on their faces,
Mm-hmm.
to see all of that, all the compliance. And the thing that got me the most is the way people were reveling in the control
Of others.
of others.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like gas station clerks,
Yeah.
waiters and waitresses.
Being able to tell people you can't eat here, or you can't be here, or you have to go, or you have to do
Right.
this, or you have
And
to do
how
that.
a lot of people would revel in it.
Yeah.
That's
Control freaks.
what got me, because it revealed the true nature of the human consciousness.
Yeah.
And it revealed the virus within the human consciousness, the mind virus,
Mm-hmm.
which on a global level, it's bigger. On an individual level, it manifests in many different ways. And so seeing that was, as somebody said, disturbing.
It's disillusioning. Yeah.
Very
it really Is. It
disillusioning.
makes you think, oh man, what have
So-
we been doing? What we've been doing for the last 15 years for?
Exactly,
You know.
exactly. It took a while to come to the realization of, we helped a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And we helped a lot of people to shift out of that frequency and avoid all of that. So there was a positive to it. It wasn't all for naught.
Of course.
It's just, I think I was focused too much on the big picture and not enough on the immediate sphere.
Yeah, exactly. And that's either way, if you're just simply unilaterally focused on the small picture, then you fail to see the big one. And if you just see the big one, you fail to see the smaller one. That's why we have to be bicameral to a certain extent, like not bicameral, but more like bidirectional when it comes to our attention span. We need to pay attention to both.
One of the things we did in 2018 is we developed iLife, ayalife.com. And we have been working on a few new things for it. So we kind of put it on hold for a little bit. But because it's Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we figured, hey, let's go ahead and get some bottles out to people. People have been asking about it anyways. We're moving more towards stuff that makes you feel really good. And that's a process that I found out was a much larger process. It just has to do with like banking and credit card processing, stuff like that. They have to approve all kinds of stuff before we can, I mean, we could put it on our website, but then they could just shut down all of our credit card processing and all that and say, hey, you haven't been approved to do this and that and blah, 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 blah. This is the ayahuasca vine infused with CBD, and it's high potency CBD. Who was that, John? Who was that doctor? John
Campbell.
John Campbell. Yeah. John Campbell did a YouTube video, and he went over a National Institute of Health study that showed that high potency CBD actually prevented the zombie virus. I'll just say that because for some reason other channels can say it, but we can't say it.
Yeah, we can't say it.
I played a clip of the press secretary, the White House press secretary, talking about the vacations, and I played it during a break, and the whole show was about like timelines and Mandela effects and stuff like that. Different. It was a 4-hour show, and they took that down and said it violates the community standards.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is coming from the White House press secretary.
No warning or anything.
How the hell can it violate the community standards? Right. And this was during the Biden administration, not the Trump administration. So we have to be really careful here because for some reason the AI really likes to mess with us.
Yeah, it does.
But that being said, he was reading the National Institute of Health study showing that high potency CBD could have prevented the entire 2020 situation if the people of Wuhan were just taking this stuff to begin with. And this is scientifically proven. Now, we developed this back in 2017. I was amazed because during that whole time, nobody got sick. And if they did get sick, I mean, I got a little bit sick, but it was just like, oh, okay. It was like
your immune system,
a common cold for a couple of days, and then that's it. So people have been asking about it. It helps with pain.
It really does.
It helps with tennis elbow. It helps with headaches.
Oh, my life would be so different without
rebalance you. And it's a synergy between the ayahuasca vine and the CBD. It's non-psychoactive. You know, I want to put that out there, but we are going to have some psychoactive stuff coming up. I'm so excited about that.
Me too.
But it's non-psychoactive, and the two plants, they work in just this synergistic way that we've only had like 3 or 4 complaints. One of them was that it was too strong. And I was like, well, thank you very much. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good advertisement for it.
Yeah. And the other one, oh my God, I forgot the other one.
The other one was that it didn't work, but then a couple days later.
The other one, she wrote, and she said, hey, I love you guys, but I want to get a refund. I tried this for a couple of days. It didn't work. Can I get my money back? And we were out of town and we didn't get back to the emails for like 5 days. And then we found a follow-up email going, no, I don't want to return it. I tried it for several days and it actually still works. It's working great now. And yeah, it just,
which is what we would have told her, give it a few more days.
It helps. It helps.
It has to have a cumulative effect.
So we've brought back the buy one, get one free for you guys, gals.
Yeah.
It's coupon code BTV Tribe.
Yeah, we won't be able to
all lowercase. Yeah. Well, we can't do that with the new products that we're putting out there.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So, and we're also going to have to cut off international shipping. So if you're international and you want to get this, get it now.
This is kind of your last chance.
Yeah, because once our banking and credit card processor all switches over, one of the rules is we cannot ship internationally, and they will cut us off if we ship internationally. We've been kind of flying under the radar, and the bottles that you get internationally, they don't say CBD or hemp
for a reason.
They just say iLife.
Yeah, it's just
I
iLife.
Life
Yep.
original blend.
Yeah. So
And it's worked. And I mean,
so far.
we had an order from Iran, an order from Saudi Arabia. It's crazy. And they all make it through. They all
Yep,
make
they
it
all
through.
make it through.
No problems.
Yeah.
We had a couple problems like with a bottle breaking, and then that's,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was just due to poor packaging.
Yeah, we
in
packaged
certain
them better
orders.
since
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, iLife.com, ayalife.com. Grab it while you can. And we've been bombarded with orders lately.
Yeah. So
yeah, we try to do same day shipping. I don't know if we can do same day shipping.
yeah, I don't know if we can continue to.
Because I'm serious.
Do that in the
Like,
future.
yeah, you've got to jump on this.
Yeah.
So there was a couple more things I was going to say on it, but I don't want to stick on it too long. But well, it's not necessarily that.
They've done
All right.
studies on.
I will.
Can I at least
Well, let me say this.
go ahead?
I really didn't want to put this out there. I let our Patreons know, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to go here, but I will.
Of course you will. Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm kind of hesitant. I've been pushing my body big time. And we went to the pyramid and we did I did a mass amount of DMT in the pyramid, like in the freaking sarcophagus. And it was like 50 times what's supposedly the lethal dose under the LD50. And I did that again. 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 And I ran my brain really hot. And I wound up, okay. And again, I don't want people to say, "Oh, Chris, I feel so bad for you." No, that's why I didn't put it out there. But a couple months ago, I actually had a stroke. I had a freaking stroke. And I was in the hospital for several days. And it was just my brain saying, "Hey, dude, you can't push these levels of consciousness that hard, that fast."
Yeah, you can't.
It's like
run the
it's
CPU that
interesting because
hot.
my computer has been shutting down because it's been running too hot.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened to my brain? My brain shut down because it ran too hot. And I recovered within 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 weeks, I was completely back to normal. And it was almost like reinstalling the operating system where the brain started working much more efficiently after that. I have to chalk it up to the Eye of Life.
Yeah.
Because I was taking like half a bottle a day.
Yeah. As soon as that happened, I was like, we need to up your CBD dose drastically.
Yeah. The face was drooping. It was hard to think. It was hard to formulate sentences. And we were just about to get back to doing shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was setting things up and doing all that. And then boom, it happened. But I knew something was happening because my body was getting to that point. So there was right after another experience, I had a near-death experience where I was surrounded by EMTs. And there was, remember? And there was one that walked in. And I actually, I encountered Anubis in this experience while I was gone. And I wake up and I'm surrounded by EMTs and I'm laying on the ground. And you tell the story because you remember it a lot more than I do. I mean, I just remember encountering Anubis. And here's the thing. I told her what I experienced first.
Right.
And then she tells me what actually happened afterwards.
Right. Because, you weren't really there. So he's laying on the ground. This one EMT, the rest of them are like, all just like focused on the medical stuff. And they're like,
well, okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but let me preface it with this first. Let me tell people the experience that I had during this thing. Okay, so I'm gone from my body. And all of a sudden, I'm in this void and I see a light and I see my mother. And my mother's speaking to me in Greek and she's singing a song she used to sing to me when I was a kid. And in Greek.
Mm-hmm.
And that really was pulling at everything in me.
Right.
And she's like, come on, I'm waiting for you. I'm here for you. And I'm proud of myself for this. I'm not trying to pat myself on my back. But as I was starting to come to, I was telling, Cherie thought I was talking to her because she was over me trying to revive me.
Yeah.
And words started to mutter. And I kept saying, you're not my mother. Get away from me. You're not my mother. Get away from me. You're not my mother. Get away. And she thought I was talking to her.
Yeah.
And then I saw Anubis. And Anubis said, good. You're ready for the next leg in this journey. I don't remember exactly what he said. But he said something,
he passed the test.
something along the lines of, good, you're ready. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, cool. And he's like, you can go back now. And so what happened in the physical
So
world?
in the physical world, he's laying there on the ground. I'm, explaining to the EMTs, what happened. They're, just all focused on like the medical stuff. What's his blood pressure? What's his heart rate? All of that. There's this one EMT though, that is just kind of hanging around in the back. And he looks at me and he's like, are you okay? How are you doing tonight? And I'm like, I'm doing all right. I'm just worried about him. And he's like, oh, he'll be fine. He's ready to go. And he says like, he's ready to go. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, no, he's coming to, he'll be fine. And then Chris wakes up and the guy leans.
I wake up and there's EMTs all over and the lights are blinding me.
Yeah.
Like there's freaking ambulances everywhere.
Yeah. They've got all this and they've even got like a spotlight on at that point.
Is that what that light was?
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
And they were all just surrounding him and everything. And he said, are you Egyptian? And I said, well, my husband kind of is. His mother was born in Egypt and we follow the Egyptian type of belief system. And he's like, that's really cool. Check
That's
this out.
not the right answer. The right answer is, my soul is Egyptian. But anyways.
Yeah. But, well, I was thinking he's just like, a
regular
guy.
EMT. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I'm trying not to sound crazy because I don't want you to sound crazy after you've just had this experience and I didn't want problems for you and stuff. But the guy goes, that's really cool. Check this out. And he pulls up his sleeve and he's got this Anubis tattoo. And I'm like, oh, that is so cool. You need to show him. Because Chris is waking up by this time and he's, still really out of it.
All I see is lights and that's it. And then I see this guy walk up. He's a good looking guy.
Uh-huh.
He looked like a mishmash of several different cultures.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he did.
I couldn't pinpoint it. He wasn't Arabic. He wasn't white. He wasn't black.
He wasn't
He was
white.
just like a mishmash of everything.
Yeah.
And he walks up and he said, you did a really good job. He says, you're ready. Check it out. And he showed me his tattoo. And I couldn't really make it out at first. All I saw was the crown and black. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. And I just showed him mine. And he's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. He
And
said,
then
yeah, I know.
He walks off and disappears.
He disappears behind the ambulance, does not go into the ambulance because the other ones had already shut the door. He goes behind the ambulance and he disappears.
So
never see him again. He's not the driver either.
No. And he didn't interact with anybody else.
Exactly. That was what got me, is that he didn't
It was
interact
almost
with
as if he
anybody
was
else.
a
As if
ghost or
he was
spirit or
just
something. 'Cause
there.
none of the other and he didn't do anything on me.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't there working on me. There were several others that were, but he wasn't.
He wasn't touching you.
No, he just walked up and he's, check it out,
as if to say,
and said,
the vision was real. I'm real.
Okay, and it didn't register to me at the time that it was an Anubis tattoo. So I tell you, oh my God, I had the craziest experience. Mother, Anubis, all of this, and she goes, "You saw that guy with the Anubis tattoo?" And I was like,
"Yeah, that was just
that. Anubis tattoo."
No. Yeah,
I was like, I didn't realize that was a Anubis tattoo. I saw the crown, but I didn't see anything else. It was just, I had lights blaring in my eyes.
Yep. And it was crazy.
Egyptian angel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy was,
I think that was Anubis.
I think that was Anubis.
Because it makes total sense.
Coming in and say, you're ready for the eclipse.
Yeah. You're ready in the physical as well as the consciousness level. You know, it's not.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So now that I say this out loud, and I'm talking, now that I'm thinking out loud about this.
Why don't you take it away for a second?
Okay. Hold on, why is my camera not on? Okay. Now that I'm thinking out loud about this, the eclipse situation was something that had to be done without any thought of holding back. Like in the pyramid, I was like, no, I don't want to break the tether. I don't want to break the tether. Even though it came to a point to where in the pyramid, I was like, okay, I got to get this work done. I got to get this work done. And I was kind of watching, I was like trying to stay in both worlds. It was like, forgive me for being redundant if you've heard this story a million times before, but when I was in the pyramid, there was a portal that opened, and as I ascended into that other realm, the portal still remained there. So I could still see my body, I could still see Cherie, I could still see the sarcophagus, but the tether, I could see the tether, but the longer I stayed up there, the more that the portal would close, and I knew the tether was going to break. And there was the thought of, I need to get back to my body. And so went up, did what I needed to do, come back, take a breather, go back, come back, take a breather, until I just couldn't do it anymore. Like my body was convulsing and like shaking, and like it was a chilling experience, because when I get back into the body, I could feel how the body was shaking and how hot the body was becoming, and how hot the mind was becoming too. And I remember Cherie had a bunch of bruises on her, and I had bruises all over my knees because that sarcophagus is like small, and I'm banging around in the sarcophagus, and she's in there trying to hold me, but she's also getting banged up by me between my legs and the sarcophagus and everything else. Should I put the camera back on you?
Just a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was that thought of, I've got to get back to my body in the pyramid. I couldn't do that at the other sites.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go in there and say, I don't care. I don't care if the tether breaks.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't going to. It wasn't supposed to.
Right.
And but it needed to be that mindset.
Yeah.
So I went in with that mindset. Then after that mindset.
Fearless. Yeah. A fearless mindset.
In August, saying, okay, I think something might happen in August. Oh, well. Good.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to go home.
Yeah.
It's that mindset that changes it all. It's not overcoming fear, but it's coming to the realization that you truly know, like with your heart and your soul, that this is an illusion.
Right.
You truly know you're going home.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when the real power comes in, because then it's boundless at that point.
Right. You're not tethered.
Because you don't care. You're like, who cares if I die?
Tethered in a negative way.
Okay, I left my body. Who cares about that?
Yeah.
And just by that thought of who cares, you don't actually leave your body. It keeps you tethered to your body even more, in a good way, not in a bad way, but in a good way.
Right.
Because you can go further and not have to worry about that.
You don't worry about the body computer.
All the way back to 2011, when that DMT experience, the ayahuasca experience, was like, look, I didn't purge in this experience beforehand, and I was afraid to let go because I didn't want to like end up like Jimi Hendrix and like vomit and choke on my vomit, you know. And
it taught you,
and it was like, no, don't worry, the body will take care of itself.
The body
Just
computer takes care of itself.
Go do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I went deep into the experience, and then I didn't, without even any thought, I just projectile vomited, and it landed, like every single drop landed in the bucket by
I don't
itself.
know how, I still don't know how that happened.
It was crazy. And
Yeah.
so that was a lesson that was learned a long time ago that had to be put into these experiences now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why even when I had that stroke, I was like, so what?
Okay.
I was like, okay, good. Okay, my brain needs to reset.
Yeah.
Even when, the threat of some kind of big bomb happening in our backyard, screw it. Why not? Okay?
Yep. That's a way to go.
We'll see what happens. We'll see. As long as I'm here, I still have work to do.
Yeah,
when I'm not here, I don't have
exactly.
any more work to do.
Exactly. That's
And it's
what
so
I tell myself,
freeing.
too.
It's freeing.
It is freeing, and especially for someone like me that is in pain basically 24/7. When I'm not deep in sleep, which is, rare, but that's the whole reasoning behind just letting go completely whenever I do something like ayahuasca. It's freeing, because it's freeing for my mind to not feel that for a while, and to step out of my body is a blessing. A lot of people find it scary, but if your body doesn't work, then stepping outside of your body helps tremendously, and it lets you know that this is not permanent, that nothing is permanent. Eventually I am going to step out of this body for good, and it'll be good riddance. I know that, people are going to miss me and stuff, but at the same time, please know that it's going to be a level of freedom too, away from this shell that I'm inside of.
Yeah, so to bring it back full circle to what we're talking about.
But without I just want to say one more thing. Without that, my life would be totally different in a negative way.
Oh, both of us.
And yeah, I think you can say the same.
I mean, I'm not even saying I'm saying every once in a while, but I'm thinking in completely different dynamics.
Oh,
now.
ever since we upped your dose.
Yeah.
It's been
so AYALife,
full force
AYALife.com, and the coupon code is BTB Tribe.
Yeah.
Get it while you can.
Yeah,
but
really.
We've already got the products. We're just waiting for the freaking banking stuff
to go through,
stuff that makes you feel really good.
Yeah. And that's going to be like the other side of our product line, what we have to offer. The AYALife as it stands gives you balance, and in a way that the immune system usually can't pull off. And that's the most wonderful thing about it, is that extra, ingredient that we have in it ensures that. And then you've got the other side of the coin, which is, the stuff that's going to help you sleep and, make you feel really good.
Sleep. It helps you relax.
Yeah, it helps you relax.
It helps you get into a Zen-like meditative state.
And I think people are going to love that too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
So, what do we get into now?
So we can either get into the politics stuff, or we can get into the how scientists. Siberia's gateway to hell.
Let me play another quick song, because I need to process everything for a second, because talking about this kind of brings it all back. And
you need to breathe for a minute.
I need to breathe for a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be right back again.
I see the world through kaleidoscope visions, chasing truth, dodging traps, breaking vicious ends. I see the world through kaleidoscope visions, chasing truth, dodging traps, breaking traditions. Beyond the veil where the secrets are hidden, I'm decoding the codes that the system's forbidden. Quantum leaps in my mind like a time machine, walking tightropes between the real and the unseen. Devil's whispers while the cosmos sings. Ego shattered, now I see the strings. Encrypted frequencies, my flow's the key. Unlocking realms, peeling back reality. They sell distractions, but I bought the truth. From the pyramid's base to the fountain of youth. Break the veil, let the truth prevail. Beyond the lies where the fearless dwell. Open your eyes, feel the cosmic trail. We ain't locked in the matrix, we're setting sail. Born in the system, but I never conformed. Raised by the static, now I'm the storm. Each rhyme's a portal, each beat's a map. Through the labyrinth of life where the watchers tap. I've danced with demons, I've hugged the void. I've built my spirit from what they destroyed. Childhood scars into battle stripes. Now I speak for the lost under neon lights. Psychedelic journeys, I've seen the design. Every atom in my body sings I'm divine. The cataclysm's coming, I'm ahead of the clock. When the stars align, we'll rise the fuck up. Break the veil, let the truth prevail. Beyond the lies where the fearless dwell. Open your eyes, feel the cosmic trail. We ain't locked in the matrix, we're setting sail. The stars whispered your destiny. Would you rise? Would you rise? Run? Would you run? Or would you break? Or would you break the veil? The veil. The end of the world is a state of mind. Apocalypse now means the truth defined. Illuminated like pyramids in the dark. Third eye visions ignite my spark. Greenberg theories, I rewrite the plot. I'm the signal they missed, the glitch in their thought. From ancient text to the microchip war, I channel the knowledge they've kept in the lore. Reality bends when I spit these bars. Every metaphor's a gateway, I'm reaching the stars. Darko's the name, but I'm more than a man. I'm the blueprint of freedom, the ultimate plan. Break the veil, let the truth prevail. Beyond the lies where the fearless dwell. Open your eyes, feel the cosmic trail. We ain't locked in the matrix, we're setting sail. Break the veil, let the truth prevail. Beyond the lies where the fearless dwell. Open your eyes, feel the cosmic trail. We ain't locked in the matrix, we're setting sail. We ain't locked in the matrix, we're setting sail.
We ain't locked in the matrix, we're set to sail. It's my alter ego. People are asking where they can find the music. All our old stuff is on Spotify, iTunes, places like that. The new stuff is going to be under a pseudonym, my alter ego, Dimitri Darko.
The evil twin.
The evil universe. Right now, I'm like, people have been asking, can you please release this stuff? And I'm like, yes, I'm trying. I've been working my ass off all week. Like, it's trying to get the mastering and everything right when I upload it, because the thing I hate the most is when I'm like listening to it in the studio and I'm listening to it on headphones and I'm like, yes, this is banging, this is awesome. And then I listen to it in my car or I listen to it somewhere else and it doesn't sound right. It sounds good to the normal person, but I'm an audiophile. And because of that, you know, I want it to sound really good. And so it's just a process of like remastering it. And like, I've got like 8 different takes of the same track, like with multi-band, without multi-band, with this, with that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I test them all and then compiling them all together and then releasing them like that. So that's the only thing that's holding up. And so I know that JF and other people are asking, like, please release this music now. I'm trying to, and I was hoping to do it before the show today. But it just turned out to be a whole lot more work than I thought it would be. So yeah, I mean, I can just throw it out there, but the thing is with music, it's out there forever. And you can't like go and update. I can't update the MP3 later.
Right.
And so that's kind of like my thing. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't release all the music that we wrote in 2020 though. Because that was some depressing
shit, baby.
That was. And it was like, fuck the world for all it's worth, every bit of planet Earth, you know, all of that.
I remember.
Yeah. This stuff I'm digging though. And we're doing a lot more different vocal effects and like a different vibe. I'm trying to do like a fusion of, as you can hear, like a fusion of like hip hop, dubstep, EDM, stuff that's fun. Because Global Resistance, a friend of mine was playing it the other day in his car and I was riding with it and I was like, it's good, but it doesn't make you bounce. Right. Some tracks do. Some of the tracks it doesn't have that bounce effect. And so I want that bounce effect first and foremost. And then the lyrics second, where the lyrics were first before, and then the bounce effect was
I thought
second
the lyrics
later.
Were pretty damn good in Global Resistance.
They were. That I focused too much on that and not enough on the actual music.
But now you're doing both.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Okay, so
Siberia has a gateway to hell.
A gateway to hell.
And it's rapidly expanding.
Hold on. Is this the same hole that they dug and they put the microphone down in there and they actually heard the sounds of hell?
I don't think, no, this is a different one. But there is another one.
There's another one.
There's 2 of them in Siberia that are rapidly expanding.
Because there was one hole where they put a microphone down and you heard
this is a sinkhole that opened.
What sounds like the sounds of hell.
These are the sinkholes that have opened in Siberia. And there's actually quite a few sinkholes around the globe right now, but this one is huge, and it's dated back to 1991, but between 1991 and 2018 it's tripled in size, and it's getting bigger every year. And it seems like it was just a month ago that it was a certain size, and now it's even deeper and bigger. And it looks like, I mean, what does it look like to you? It looks like a demon jellyfish.
Hold on, I don't see the demon jellyfish.
It's right there in the middle. Okay, you're not looking at it.
The picture.
Yeah,
You open the picture up. Oh, right there?
that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it does look like a demon jellyfish.
Yeah.
Or the spawn of Satan.
Yeah, a mega slump. So it's been called everything from the gateway to the underworld to a tadpole-shaped gash, and it's eating into the surrounding landscape like a living thing. The huge crater in Siberia is an immense fracture in the depths of the Russian Far East that splintered open just a few decades ago. Now, with climate change, especially, like they're calling it climate change, but because the permafrost, it's literally like falling in, it's creating this bigger and bigger and bigger crater. It's almost a living thing in and of itself, because it's moving so fast. Officially known as the Batagay, also spelled Batagaita crater or mega slump, the crater was first spotted on satellite images in 1991 after a section of hillside collapsed in northern Sakha in Russia. So a mega slump is a vast expanding depression in Earth's surface. These steep craters appear like gateways to the underworld. These eerie sinkholes are the result of melting permafrost, the frozen soil and rock that makes up the majority of the Arctic landscape. But this one is interesting because they're saying that it has 650,000-year-old bacteria and viruses inside of it, and that because of this melting permafrost, it could unleash new diseases. That doesn't happen unless
Sounds like
they release
that
them.
sounds like a nice excuse.
It sounds like a really nice excuse.
Like, oh, they have some bats down there that China actually got, and they took to their wet markets. And oops, global pandemic has nothing to do with the Wuhan lab that was just 4 miles away or 8 miles away.
Right down the street.
No. You're crazy.
That's insane. Until it's not.
It was bats.
It's insane.
Because they're
till
vampires. That's why it's bats.
Yep. That still makes me so mad. I don't even like you mentioning it because it still makes me mad. As our planet continues to warm, the permafrost thaws and the Earth loosens and slumps. But this thing looks like something out of a sci-fi novel. I mean, it really does. It looks like it's shaped like some kind of horrible thing that used to live inside of the Earth, 650,000 years ago, and that we killed, but then it's coming back. Now it's coming back to life.
Could be Cthulhu.
That's what I was thinking, actually. I was thinking Cthulhu.
Listen
How
to
did
this.
you know?
Okay, so this is the hole from hell. Can you look that up real quick? The sounds from hell. I don't remember where the hole was. I actually did a little BTV, little 1-minute video, the shorts on this, and I completely forgot. But it's an old story. You might have heard it before. But listen to this. And this might not be the audio itself, but I feel like it is. Okay, yeah, it is. So they lowered a microphone into this hole, and they dug deeper than anybody has ever dug before.
It was Siberia.
Yeah, okay, it was Siberia. That's what I thought. It's not the same hole?
It's not the same hole.
Okay, so there's multiple gateways to hell.
Gateways to hell.
Okay, where in Siberia? Tell us a little bit about it before.
It just says Siberia sounds from hell. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they dug this hole. It's the furthest that anybody's dug, and they lowered this microphone down in there. And this is what they supposedly recorded.
So, okay, the Soviet Union had in fact drilled a hole more than 12 kilometers, 7.5 miles deep, the Kola super deep borehole, located not in Siberia, but actually on the Kola Peninsula, which shares borders with Norway and Finland.
Oh no, not to Finland.
It's pretty
Oh,
close.
South Park reference.
It's pretty close to Siberia.
Okay.
Upon reaching the depth of 40,230 feet in 1989, geological anomalies were found, although they reported no supernatural encounters. Well, you wouldn't, would you?
No, but okay, so check this out. So they lowered the microphone, recorded those sounds. Supposedly. I'll talk about the other side of the coin here too.
Yeah. Yeah, we will.
But they're saying that it's like rock shifting, and it's saying that it's geological anomalies and things like that. This is what they try to whitewash it with. Other people say that it's completely fake, and it very well could be. As Mega said in the chat, somebody said the sounds are from a 1940s movie, and it very
Or
well
1970s movie.
or
Yeah.
1970s movie. It very well could be. I don't know the source of this audio. But you would imagine that hell would be an interdimensional place rather than a physical place that you drill down into the
Right.
center of the earth.
I agree.
So that's where it kind of falls apart for me. But at the same time, it's interesting to talk about nonetheless. And then you have all these other holes that are called the gateways to hell, and they are all in freaking Russia. So the question that I'm going to pose out there is this just propaganda to further demonize Russia?
It could be.
I'm not saying that the hole itself doesn't exist. Just all these, they're naming it the
They're
gateway.
Gateway to hell and stuff. And
Yeah.
there's another one. A farmer is reported to have died in Siberia as one of two sinkholes that opened and widened around the same time swallowed a combine harvester. The driver is understood to have died after a crater 35 feet deep swallowed the vehicle, and it landed on its cabin in Ruski Melkitui village. I don't know if I'm saying that right, in the Irkutsk region. The cause of the sinkholes opening up is not known. An onlooker reportedly said the combine harvester is lying with its entire load, its full weight, on the cabin. The hole is larger in diameter on the inside than on the outside. There's another crater around 400 miles away at a ski resort that's already known as the Gateway to Hell, and it said this crater deepened and widened at a similar time to the one that killed that farmer.
Interesting.
So it happened at the same time. What are the odds, right?
Well, when Apophis comes back, it's supposed to create landslides and earthquakes, and it may open up the gates of hell itself, and the beast may come out. And behold, a woman drinking a cup of her own fornication.
It sounds like two girls.
It does sound like two girls in one cup.
Prophecy is real.
What if the Bible predicted two girls in one cup?
I was actually okay. So I'm working on prophetic books of the Bible, and basically going to the Strong's Concordance and actually looking up what the actual Hebrew words for things were, and matching them up with the prophetic books to see if there's actually a different story to tell. And there is actually. I'm actually in the middle of Isaiah, and I was reading in Isaiah 3, I think it is. Or maybe 4, about how the Lord will take away the tires and mufflers. I'm not kidding.
You were telling me about this earlier. Now, the word matrix is in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
There's other words that have appeared in the Bible that are modern words, and they chalk this all up to Mandela effects. But tell me more about this.
Okay, so
Tires and mufflers are now in the Bible.
yes.
Okay.
So it's actually Isaiah 3.
Isaiah 3. Let me pull that up.
Yeah. And at the same time, I'll pull up Strong's so you can see this, because this literally says tire. Whenever you look up the definition, that's like the last definition of it is tire, Tire. And then,
Are you sure it's not tire as in like you're going to be tired?
no, I'm certain.
Okay.
They're trying to say it has to do with jewelry and ornaments that women would wear back then, but I've never heard of an ornament being called a muffler. Have you?
Okay, you got to send me this. Send me this link real
Yeah.
quick. Let me put it on the screen. Let me check it out. Because what? What?
I'm not kidding. Okay, you have to read the King James version of it. But here you go. Isaiah 3. This is so weird. Yeah, and instead of fragrance, there will be a stench. Instead of a sash, a rope. Instead of well-dressed hair, baldness. That's not the KGB version. Hold on. That's the NIV.
Oh, snap. Something went wrong when displaying this page. God
Okay,
is striking down our
it's
computer. You know what's going to
3:18.
happen? My computer's going to blue screen now.
It's Isaiah 3:18 and 19. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their calls and their round tires like the moon.
Holy shit.
The chains
there
and
it
the
is.
bracelets and the mufflers.
Okay, so you don't even have to go to Strong's for this.
No, you don't.
This is right here.
But that's why I
Isaiah
looked up in Strong's.
3:19. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers. Holy shit.
I've never heard that before, and I've
This is
read
the King
Bible
James
front to
version?
back as a kid.
This is the King James
yes,
Bible.
That's the King James Bible. That was never in there. I'm sorry, but tires and muffler, tires round like the moon, and mufflers. Come on.
I need to talk to my friend John. He owns a custom shop. He did a freaking awesome muffler for me. If they're going to be taken away here in the end, then we got to figure out
We
something
got to
else.
figure out a new plan.
The Ocean said a muffler is a warm scarf worn around the face to block cold or dust.
That's what it says in the. But in okay, so if you look up that word in Strong's,
Oh, it says here in the tablets. I'm just kidding.
it also no. Listen. Oh, another thing.
They're going to
it
take
says-
away our iPads too.
Another thing it says is the glass. The glasses will be taken away. If you look up the word glasses, it goes back to a writing tablet. Uh-huh. Because I was like, glasses? Do they mean like
Wait, it's okay. So
the silverware? I don't think so.
glasses and in Strong's Concordance it says writing tablet.
The only place
they never
in
wrote.
Strong's,
They never
I
wrote.
mean, in the Bible where it mentions that word glasses goes back to writing tablets.
That's interesting because they never wrote on glass back then.
No, they
I don't even think they made
they
glass.
didn't even make
Did they make
glass.
glass back then? I don't know.
They didn't make glass like we do. They didn't have the technology, supposedly. So I'm looking up the word glasses in Strong's Concordance. The only place where it mentions this is in Isaiah 3:23. The glasses and the fine linen and the hoods. What is it? The glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils are part of the things that are going to be taken away.
The glasses.
Uh-huh. So it goes back to
Okay, so glasses is in like drinking glasses?
Gelayon is the word that they're talking about. It says a tablet for writing. By analogy, a mirror as a plate, glass roll. That's the only place in the Bible that mentions this.
First they came for the mufflers. And I didn't
And I
speak
didn't
up
own a car, so
because I didn't have a car. And then they came for the glasses. And I realized that I couldn't see after that.
Yep.
Holy crap.
This is weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Somebody's hacking the Bible, as the Ocean said.
Yep. I think so. I'm not sure. This is the materialistic plane.
The
Yeah.
bonnets and the ornaments of the legs. I like the ornaments of the legs. That's kind of my thing.
Okay, so Digital Death just mentioned still getting over Cherie's Matilda O'Donnell reading on Isby's. Oh, you haven't heard anything yet. I just finished reading another book that I don't think we'll go into tonight because it's so long. But Einstein's Bridge is going to be really interesting to break down for you guys.
The rings and the nose jewels.
Uh-huh.
The changeable suits of apparel.
Yep.
And the mantles.
The pantsuits.
The changeable suits of apparel.
Uh-huh.
Well, shouldn't you be changing them?
Shouldn't you be changing your
Come
clothes?
on, guys.
Kind of a hobo thing to not
Was
change your
King
clothes.
James drunk when he wrote this? The
didn't
glasses.
write it,
Here it
he
is. The
commissioned
glasses
it.
right here, 23. The glasses and the fine linen And the hoods and the veils. Ooh, they're going to take the veils. That's what. And
we're called beyond
you're
the
kind of
veil.
stepping on our toes now, okay? Because we're the one that dropped the veil.
We're the ones that, yeah, we do that.
And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stank. Patootie. And instead of girdle, a rent. And
That means
instead,
a rope.
okay, instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of well set hair, baldness.
Toupees.
Oh, come on.
You take people's toupees away.
Come on. What is that baldness stuff that they use?
Rogaine?
Rogaine. They're going to take people's Rogaine.
Yep.
And instead of a stomach, of a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty.
A burning means a scar, like a branding. Instead of having beauty, you're going to have scars.
You know, this is one of my big complaints with this book, is that beauty is supposed to be admired. It's
Right.
not supposed to be perverted. You know, it's supposed to be admired. I see nothing wrong with women displaying their beauty and decorating that beauty in a
Right.
tasteful manner.
Right.
I mean, I don't see, I don't want to say it's divine, but it's divine to a certain degree. You know, that's how we picture the goddesses. We picture all that, you know, and it's the opposite here.
Yeah.
They want to destroy beauty.
destroy the goddess.
Well, yeah, they want to destroy beauty. They want to destroy innocence. They want to destroy all that is good.
So the word for matrix in the Bible is rechem, 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 and it means the womb. It literally means like the matrix, you were created in the womb. And it says in Exodus 13:12, thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast, the male shall be the Lord's. Then in 13:15, it came to pass when Pharaoh would hardly let us go that the
Hold on, I'm
Lord.
sorry. What are you reading from?
Exodus 13.
Okay.
And it came to pass when Pharaoh would hardly let us go that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. Openeth the matrix. So what did the Vikings, what did the Greeks, what did the Aztecs believe opened the matrix?
Sacrifices.
Blood. Human
Blood.
sacrifice. That's exactly right.
Which I think is a bastardization of ayahuasca.
Yes, it is.
Because if you look at it, the
It looks like-
consistencies are both kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
And you have blood drinking rituals and you have ayahuasca drinking rituals.
Right.
Blood drinking rituals are perfectly
Shoot.
fine. People go on Sundays and they get communion.
Yep.
That's okay. Ayahuasca, Schedule 1.
Banned, Schedule 1.
Schedule 1.
Yep. Not for any use by humans, even though it also says in the book of Genesis, I've given you every seed-bearing plant to eat as food,
To use.
and to use.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so in all
Anyway.
fairness, though, the word matrix actually means womb.
right.
So all that opened up the womb. So
But are we not in
Hey,
a giant
hey.
womb?
maybe that's happening right now. Maybe God is actually the one behind the LGBT leftist push to feminize men
Maybe.
and castrate them because it's all prophecy. They're taking away that which opens up the womb. Ooh.
Exodus isn't a prophetic book. It's a book about what happened already. It's the Exodus out of
I know, but I can blasphemy a little, can I?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. You know, there's a guy named Lichman. This is kind of a side note. He predicted every single presidency based on his keys, right? And he got this one wrong. He thought that Harris was going to win. And he's arguing with the guy from the Young Turks. And they're on Piers Morgan. And as they're arguing back and forth, he's saying, you don't have to blaspheme against me.
That's not blasphemy, sweetie. That's just proving you to be an idiot live on
He said
TV.
this. And I was like, oh my God, this is bad. This is insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny. The word blasphemy came up in a
I
different
can't
context
believe that.
recently.
Yeah, I can't believe that. That takes a God complex to believe it's blasphemy.
Digital Death wrote that in the chat just as you said
Yeah,
that.
I agree. That's so
You know what I
funny.
would have done? I would have said, well, the keys are solid. My interpretation of it was wrong this time. Because I didn't take into account this factor and this factor, which actually changed the keys, but my system is solid.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he's like, no. The system is flawed. I'm always right.
Yep.
I was like, damn, dude. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into that.
Someone wrote, "I am my darkness." Yeah, it
Hey.
shows the darkness inside of you.
The light shines brightest in the darkest of nights.
Yeah, it does. And you see the darkness inside of you, and then you see the light too. And you realize how much of your soul is proportioned in which direction. And you see it without judgment. It's not even self-judgment. You're seeing it through the lens of reality. And that's very rare in our physical world. It's actually built, the physical world is actually built to keep that illusion going, that we're all good people and that we don't have any darkness in us. And if we do, then Jesus can take care of it. And, I mean, it's like this, simulation-based mind screw that really messes with people. And it's what causes, I think it's actually the root of a lot of mental problems, because if you believe that, you can't be darkness at all inside, and that, oh my gosh, if I have a speck of darkness inside of me, then I'm not a good person and I'm going to hell. I think hell is also a dimension that exists, but it exists for people who are confused about that. Does that make sense? The people that are just super confused about, okay, well, if I have any darkness at all in me, then I need to rely on a blood sacrifice to get rid of it, instead of looking at it realistically and saying, okay, I have this darkness, but I also have light, and they just need to be in the right proportion to each other in order for me to live life in the best way possible without hurting anybody around me and without, hurting myself. That, I think that's at the root of a lot of problems.
I hate to say it, but blood magic and blood sacrifice works.
It does.
The thing is, it's not organic. It's a hack of the matrix to a certain degree, but I guess it's for people that don't have the power inside of themselves
That's
to do
exactly
it.
what
So
it
they have
is.
to try to draw power from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a sad fact of the matrix that it does work, and it's disgusting and it's sickening, and it makes me sick to my stomach thinking about it. Because the poor victim, nobody has a right to impede upon life and sovereignty like that.
I agree. And
the matrix should not be rewarding that.
exactly. And I think it kind of goes back to what Terence McKenna said about the fractal soliton of improbability. Just the fact that was allowed on a mass scale and still is practiced to this day has kept us...
Planned Parenthood.
It's kept us stunted to a certain extent
Well,
as a species.
Did you see do you have Strong's Concordance open in front of you?
I do.
Look up the word bail. I'm going to pause for a moment. So I don't know if you've seen this. I've talked about it on the show, but I know you don't listen to half the stuff I say.
I do.
What is the definition of bail?
Well, there's two versions of it. There's 01120, which is plural. It's Bemoth, or Bomoth is what they call it, Bomoth, plural of 01116, heights, or fully Bomoth Bahal, from the same, and 01168, heights of Baal, Bamoth or Bamoth Baal, a place east of the Jordan. And then the other one is the same as 01167. It's Baal, a Phoenician deity.
G896. The Greek word Baal
Oh, the Greek word Baal
is a masculine noun of the Hebrew origin meaning Lord.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I forgot about that. It's not mentioned.
So when you hear the Lord,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder.
So that's where it's okay. That's a Romans 11:4 actually, and the reason why it says no word available is because it kind of goes against your whole premise to have the Greek word there, and then it's saying Lord, because Lord in the Adonai, whenever it's used as Adonai in the Hebrew Old Testament, it actually means master or slave owner. It means slave owner, basically. So
I'm just saying. It
Just
says
saying.
the Lord.
yeah, and so I'm just
That's
saying.
repeated throughout the Bible many, many, many times.
And I have to.
And I
have
mean, you
to
go
look
back,
at that.
go back to Cain and Abel. Okay, think about this. Go back to Cain and Abel. What happened? Cain killed Abel. Why? Because Cain was a freaking farmer. He fucking, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cuss. He freaking was planting stuff and growing crops from
He
the
didn't like
ground,
that.
from the earth.
He doesn't want that.
And he brought
doesn't
the
want
best of his
vegetables.
crops and he gave the Lord the crops. And Abel gave him
Meat.
death.
Yep, death.
Now, I love meat,
On a
don't get me
plate.
wrong. And
Yeah.
I love lamb. Okay, so that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying he gave him that. And so
Why does he want blood?
the Lord was like, no, I want blood. I don't want fruit. I don't want vegetables. I want blood, which I can relate because sometimes I'm like, God damn, I need a steak. But
Yeah.
I don't think it was that. I think it's more like I want death and I want blood.
Yeah.
And so Cain killed Abel over that. He's like, oh, you want death? You want blood? Here, I'll kill my brother.
Yeah, and it's a warmongering kind of deity too. When you look at Lord of Hosts, that basically just means commander of the armies.
Commander of the Legion.
Yeah, commander of the legion. There you go.
Ooh, see, it all starts to twist in together.
Yeah.
And, oh man,
You
it's
know-
an interesting topic because when you step out of BS belief systems and you just read it for what it is, it starts to reveal itself in a completely different way, especially when you've elevated your consciousness.
Oh,
Now-
Gnosticism is interesting stuff when you look at it through the lens of psychedelics. It is. You have to admit that. I
See, Alex said that the Bible was written to include a lot of ancient myths by Greek deities. Yes, it's an amalgamation of a lot of different
Phoenician,
Phoenician,
and Sumerian,
Greek,
Egyptian,
all that. Everybody's been stealing everybody's gods. You know, the Romans stole all the Greek gods.
So
And then they say that Jesus is a mixture of Zeus and one other, I don't remember who it was, but yeah.
it's like he has.
I mean, I know Constantine, he went and he took Mithra because Mithra was like the big thing back then. And he started the Catholic Church or the,
based on Mithraism.
yeah, he changed the Sabbath to Sunday because that was Mithra's day. He put the halos behind the sun disk, which Mithra had,
The sun god.
and changed a lot of the customs like that to observe the winter solstice, which is coming up here in what, a month? Less than a month, to observe the spring equinox on Easter. It's interesting because the Greek Orthodox Church counts Easter based on the full moon. So it's like 40 days after the full moon or something like that. So it changes. It's like the first Sunday on or after the full moon or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they still do that. The Western churches have solidified it to one day, but the Orthodox churches do it differently. They still observe the astrological aspect of it.
And somebody mentioned government is a Greek word. It actually, I think it's Roman, isn't it? And
It comes from Greek and Latin.
Greek and Latin. That's right.
Gubernatio.
Mente,
Yeah, gubernatio
which
and
means
mente,
mind control.
which means to control the mind of the masses.
Literally means mind control.
Yeah.
So Yeah. That's a interesting thing to point out there.
No, I think this is fascinating. We did a show on Revelation. If it's still up, because who knows if we freaking played a clip from the White House press secretary by accident and YouTube's taking it down. But if you go to our channel and just search Revelation, we did a big breakdown of a lot of stuff. We need to go back and listen to that again.
Yeah.
Because we did that in like 2019 before all this stuff happened. And I'm wondering now if we go
5
back and
years
listen to
ago.
it, how it will line up with things that have happened now.
Oh, I think it would line up beautifully.
Because we were talking about how Revelation was basically the script for shutting down the Matrix. And
Yeah.
this is what's going to happen when the Matrix shuts down. And we're watching it happen now as the Matrix shuts down.
Yeah, there's an asteroid that's going to come close to Earth next week.
Yep.
You know, and we had a few days ago. Like, why are all these asteroids coming out of nowhere? You know, is it Carol Rosen's theory come to life, or is Carol Rosen's theory based upon what she heard at the time? Because they really were freaking out about all these asteroids coming. They really were freaking out about Russians. They really were freaking out about aliens coming. So they told some of their people, hey, this is what we're going to put out there. And of course, some people are going to run with that and think, oh, well,
Dude, what if Trump
all
is,
this is controlled.
what if Trump is the Antichrist?
That's a,
Because you
Interesting.
said something interesting the other day that the Antichrist has a head wound,
yeah.
but he survives his head wound.
Let me look that up. Yes, according to the Book of Revelation, the Antichrist will suffer a fatal wound to one of its heads, but this wound will be healed, leading to wonder and admiration from the whole world. The Antichrist will recover and become even stronger.
Fight. I mean, Elon Musk was a Democrat and then went to Libertarian. Within minutes of Trump being shot, he was on Trump's side. He said, and he did an interview and he said, look, he said, this is what kind of leader that we want. He said, you are best, your character is best tested under pressure. And when you get shot in the ear like that, so close to the head, and your first instinct is to get up and go, fight. He's like, that's the kind of leadership we need.
Yeah.
Not somebody that, you know, his first words were actually not fight, but first it was, let me get my shoes.
Yep. Let me get my shoes. Yep.
Let me get my shoes. And then after he had his shoes on, I think it's an old cowboy thing. It's like, well, let me die with my boots on. You know, yeah. So he's like, let me get my shoes just in case I get hit again. Fight. It's golden. It was golden.
Yeah, that was great. And yes, the whole world, you know, has admired him since, because
Who can make war against Trump?
now if he asks us to put in the Neuralink, then we know, you know. I guess that's going to be the defining feature there, is you have to get the chip in your hand or on your forehead.
Now, don't get me wrong. As James said, I love Donald. I do too. He's great. I'm so happy. The world feels better. It feels like things are happier. Things are freer, you know, and he's not even in office yet, but knowing where this is all heading, it's just like the world feels better.
Yeah.
So I love the guy.
Well, he's going to bring peace to the Middle East. Check.
Right. If he's the Antichrist, well, more power to him.
Yep.
Welcome.
Yep.
Wow.
Donald Trump is Schrodinger's cat. Yes.
He's both in office and out of the office at the same time.
That's a good point. That is a good point, because actually he is making ripples regarding the Russia-Ukraine thing, regarding the Israel-Palestine thing. You know, Hezbollah's backing off. You know, at least it looks like it is. But I don't know. People are saying the revelation happened long ago.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
Yeah. And it could be. But I don't know of any figure who suffered a head wound. besides Donald Trump. Just saying.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's fun. I'm glad that he's back in office because there's a lot to talk about now.
Yep. And
it
now
was
it's
boring as hell. I mean,
more interesting.
how many times can you talk about dementia? And also you feel bad doing so because you're like, this poor guy, this is elder abuse.
Yeah.
Like, he's a piece of crap. Don't get me wrong. All the stuff, he was like, we're talking about the guy Biden now, but, he was all for segregation and he was fighting against the Republicans who were trying to do civil rights and, all that stuff. So the guy's a piece of work, no doubt about it. But he's a demented old man now. And it felt bad talking about him.
Yeah. It felt like we were just adding to it.
Yeah.
And that's not nice. The poor guy, to a certain extent, the poor guy, doesn't even know where he is. And
right. So where's the fun in that?
Yeah. Where's the fun in that? And also I've heard.
It's like beating up on a drunk guy.
Somebody,
you don't do that.
Somebody pointed out, if it's already happened, then where is New Jerusalem? Some people have pointed out that
it's in Ukraine.
That because
where they all came from.
No.
All right.
It's been said that the New Jerusalem is actually the U.S. and the U.K. because it says, I think in the Old Testament somewhere,
There's my light.
That God's basically going to take away the title from Israel because they backslid and all that. So by virtue of that, you look like you're at one of those sleepovers where you tell ghost stories.
I know. What the hell's been going on with this damn thing?
You have to put,
Okay.
So
it's not illuminating me. I'll just have to use my own natural light.
Apparently some people have said because it says that in the Old Testament, that means, the New Jerusalem is going to have to be somewhere outside of Israel because God said that. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but I was kind of raised to think, I think that Israel is not the Israel that it is now, and that it's actually talking about the U.S. and the U.K., given that we've basically followed Israel's path and we've become the new Israel. I don't know. Other people are saying it's a state of mind, that the New Jerusalem is a state of mind. I don't know. But I do know that
I'm not Jewish, so I don't really care. Shit, did I just say that out loud?
So what about the verse, when the last trumpet will finish its song, the apocalypse will begin? Don't remember the quote exactly, but what if it's about Trump?
The apocalypse.
Trump's last term, and then the shit goes wild.
The apocalypse is a Greek word that means the great revealing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just means the great revelation or the great revealing.
So I welcome the apocalypse. Armageddon, on the other hand, is different.
Yeah.
I was actually on a show
Megiddo.
10 years ago and I actually said Armageddon instead of apocalypse. And still to this day, I'm like, damn, I can't believe I did that.
I know. I say stupid things sometimes on the show. And then we were talking about Hoover the other day. And instead of, we put forward the wrong Hoover. Sorry, Herb. It wasn't Herbert Hoover. It was J. Edgar Hoover. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe
it's okay. It happens.
Said that. Yeah. So reveal as in magic.
Reveal as in magic.
Revelations as in magical. Revelations. That's an interesting. There was a British researcher in 2008 who looked at the street names where they built the 2012 London Olympics. It was all about New Zion and biblical names. And he suicided shortly after.
Who?
There was a British researcher in 2008 who looked at the street names for where they built the 2012 London Olympics in London, UK. It was all about New Zion and biblical names. And then the reporter that reported on it was suicided shortly after.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So.
Well, when we did that Revelation show, we talked about how this is a script. Because it's a scripture. It's a script. It's an NPC script. So there's there's value in decoding the script.
Yep. Other people are saying there were two extra books of Moses, all black magic. I believe it. I believe it.
I don't think,
Considering how certain people are, in the Bible. It
you
makes
know,
sense.
Moses had horns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People were saying it's a Mandela effect, but there's a statue of him with horns.
No, it's because
it comes out of the Bible.
he represents Aries, the age of the ram. And then Jesus represents Pisces, the fish. And I think that goes back to an astrological thing. I think that's astrological, 100%.
It could be. But you see?
That's so weird.
No. Okay, so here's the most famous one here. And people were freaking out and going, why does he have horns? Horns is a symbol of wisdom. Did you know that? So that's the official explanation. But it could be astrological because the Jews do blow the ram's horn because it was the time of Aries at the time. And see, they were worshiping the golden calf. And the calf can either be symbolic of Hathor from Egypt, because it was a golden calf, and Hathor was the one that gave everything.
Right.
And when we were at the temple of Hatshepsut, there was a picture of Hatshepsut drinking straight from the teat of the teat.
Well,
of Hathor.
and the Israelites at the time were saying, give us back our Egyptian ways.
Yeah. So it could be that. Or it could be that they were switching from Taurus to Aries. And so they were going back to the Taurus traditions, and Moses was like, no, we need to do the Aries traditions because now we're in the, and it all could be just a big allegory and metaphor for the times, the astrological changes. Then when Jesus came in, that was the age of Pisces, the fish. That's why you have the Christian fish. That's why he fed
5 loaves and 2 fishes.
5 loaves and 2 fish. I will teach you how to be a fisher of men.
A fisher of men, yeah. And then you have also, in the New Testament, you have, in the last days, you'll see a man carrying a pitcher of water. That's Aquarius. 100%.
Yes. Yeah. That passage. It's an interesting passage here. Pitcher of water, Bible. Luke 22:10. And he said unto them, behold, when ye are entered into the city, there you shall meet a man. A man shall meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entered. That's Aquarius.
That's Aquarius. Follow him into the age of Aquarius.
Yeah. So it goes from Pisces to Aquarius.
Yep. Yeah, I need to look up those verses too, and what when you enter into the city. Well, what is?
Well, that's allegorical. But when you enter into the house,
follow him into the house.
Follow him into the house.
Just like you're following me into the house that we're going into right now, which is the age of Pisces.
Right. See?
Yep. Man carrying a pitcher of water.
It illuminates.
Yeah, and it means basically a golden age for knowledge and wisdom. It's all getting.
I did a video on
I will pour
this
out
a
my
long
spirit
time
on
ago.
mankind. Is also what it says.
It talked about the New Age Messiah. It was a clickbait title, but the New Age Messiah. Because you had Moses that represented
the age of the ram, Aries.
The age of the ram. You had Taurus. You had Baal.
Baal, which is the age of Taurus.
Which represented Taurus. You had Jesus representing the fish. And I postulated on who represents Aquarius. Who bears water? Everyone bears water.
Yeah.
We're 80% water. Babies are like 90% water.
Yeah.
So we're the water bearers. So now the Messiah is each
Inside
individual.
Us. Yep. It's inside of you.
It's inside of you.
It's what the DMT elves told me. It's inside of you. When I asked them where God was in all this, and they said it's inside of you.
Oh,
Yep.
it's adorable.
It was one of my first experiences, though.
I know.
So,
This is like 15 years ago.
oh yeah, it's a long time ago, but I'll never forget that. I mean, we were in that first house we were in together, and we had just gotten together, and you know, I asked the question and they answered really quickly and really emphatically. It's inside of you. It's inside of you. It's inside of you. And that was a huge turning point for me. It really was.
Let's take a quick break. And maybe we'll wrap it up on the other side. Maybe not. I'm having fun.
I am too.
What do you think? Okay. I'm trying to find something new that we've done.
And I'll try to find something new to talk about.
Okay. This one's long. This one's like 9 minutes long or 6 minutes long or 7 minutes long. Oh well. We'll be right back. I hope you enjoy this.
The air hums low, a weightless thread, a whispering tether to what lies ahead. Eyes closed, yet the world unravels, a path untrodden where silence travels. The walls dissolve, no lines, no seams, a tapestry woven from waking dreams. The hum grows louder, it bends, it breaks. Reality falters, then dissipates. Tearing through the veil of sound, a sacred spiral pulls me down. Strings of light and shattered keys, the symphony of infinity. Time folds backward, its breath runs cold. A secret story begins to unfold. The hum fades low, but I still remain awake in a void I cannot name. Woke up again to the weight of the dark, carrying battles that tear me apart. Lit the flame, let the smoke fill my lungs. A doorway opened, a song unsung. Colors swirled and a veil pulled back. Truth revealed and I can't go back to this world of illusion. My heart's entombed in a digital prison where my soul's consumed. I saw the truth behind the veil, felt the glitch in this hollow tale. But I'm trapped in this flesh and bone, longing I just wanna go home. I'm holding on by a thread tonight, fighting the urge to give up the fight. The simulation whispers you're just a pawn, but I'm still here, I know I don't belong. Back to my avatar, this fragile cage, a scripted life, a scripted rage. The feelings flood, they don't feel real, like echoes of a world I can't conceal. The smoke fades and the vision's gone, but the truth remains. I don't belong, a player lost in a twisted game, chasing shadows haunted by my name. I saw the truth beyond the veil, felt the glitch in this hollow tale. But I'm trapped in this flesh and bone, longing for release, I just wanna go home. I'm holding on by a thread tonight, fighting the urge to give up the fight. The simulation whispers you're just a pawn, but I'm still here, I know I don't belong. Lines of code beneath my skin. The cosmos laughs as I breathe it in. If this is a game, then why the pain? Why the echoes that drive me insane? But maybe the glitch is where I'll find the key to freeing this troubled mind. I'm holding on by a thread tonight, fighting the urge to give up the fight. The simulation whispers you're just a pawn, but I'm still here, no I don't belong. Through the smoke I touch the void, a fleeting glimpse I can't avoid. Lines of code beneath my skin, the cosmos laughs as I breathe it in. If this is a game, then why the pain? Why the echoes that drive me insane? But maybe the glitch is where I'll find the key to freeing this troubled mind. I'm holding on by a thread tonight, fighting the urge to give up the fight. The simulation whispers you're just a pawn, but I know I don't belong. And when the smoke calls me again, I'll step through to escape the pain. For in the chaos I'll find the clue, a reason to stay, a world renewed.
Mrs. Gio was kind enough to go get me some coffee real quick, so I'm gonna play one more rule.
I was lost in the dark, shadows closing in. Felt the weight of the world wearing thin. But a spark in my heart ignited the flame. In the midst of the storm I found my name. Through the fire and the pain I'll rise above, I'll break the chain. Hear the echo of my soul. In the night I'll take control. I will rise again from the ashes to the skies. Feel the power within as the light in me ignites. Through the fire, feel the rain, I will conquer all the pain. In the end I'll stand tall, I will rise again. Rise, rise, rise again. Rise, 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 rise again. Rise, rise, rise again. I will rise again. Every scar tells a story, every wound a fight.
You ready to jump back into it?
Great tunes. Yeah.
They're fun. It's different.
Yeah.
I need it different.
It's awesome.
I can only go. Have you ever taken a moment to second guess the Freemasonic Order and the IRS so many times?
Yeah.
Then it's like, all right, I'm ready to move on to this other stuff.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I
All
see
right.
you transform yourself.
So
over the
what
years.
would you like to get into, if anything?
So we can either wrap it up, or
Why is my camera
we can
so...
talk about the latest breakthroughs in quantum stuff and how I think it all leads back to the fact that we're living in a machine, or these things wouldn't be happening whenever they do these quantum experiments. So you want to hear, and these are just in the last month.
Yeah, take it away. I'm going to try to fix my camera because I look like I'm in the dark.
Yeah, you do. Okay, so there's a mysterious spice. Well, first of all, this is outside of quantum news, but there's a mysterious spy satellite mission set for SpaceX launch tonight for the NRO, and that's the National Reconnaissance Office. So I think the stuff with Russia is getting so crazy that maybe the Defense Department wants to have eyes on what's going on in the sky, and so that's why they're putting the satellite up. And maybe it's even, part of Musk even being allowed to become the Doge, one of the Doge overseers. Just a thought.
Musk is going to take over. I can't fix this camera right now. I'll have to do it later. Musk is going to take over NASA.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's how he got big with government contracts.
Right.
Because he could do things that the government couldn't do.
Exactly. And so that's why the NRO is using Musk's technology to launch a satellite up there.
Yeah.
Because it costs so much to do that usually. And Musk has made it very affordable for any, government, especially one, like ours that's basically being threatened by Russia at this time and Iran.
You came up with an interesting
And a few
theory
other countries. China.
that Musk has a Neuralink, and when you watch him talk, as you pointed out, sometimes you see him moving his eyes back and forth first.
Uh-huh. I always thought that was just an autist thing, but...
Yeah. But what if he's got the implant and he's actually seeing text?
Uh-huh.
And he's reading off the answers first?
He's looking up the answers.
Uh-huh.
That'd be the ultimate troll.
That would.
Because you're basically have an encyclopedia in your brain.
I mean, AI is an interesting thing. And I'm not a technophobe. So I like technology. But I understand the dangers of technology as well. Smartphones are tracking us everywhere we go. Mm-hmm. The cameras are always on. You can't get Facebook off your phone, even if you tried. You got to root access it and all kinds of stuff like that in order to do that. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to use it, but Facebook still tracks you everywhere you go. Google Maps tracks you everywhere you go. If you look at your Google Maps, it will show you places that you didn't even say take me to. It'll just show you where you've been and all that.
Yeah.
You have to go in and turn off that feature. And even if you turn off the feature, I suspect that it's only turned off on your side.
Yeah, it's only turned off on your side. It's still sending that information.
We knew all this. And I resisted getting a smartphone for years. And then I finally just gave in and I got one. Mm-hmm. So AI, it's a great technology. I mean, like, I've been writing code for the last, 15 years. And now I can just go in and just say, hey, write me a script on this, and it'll just write it for me like that.
Right.
It's great in that regard, but it can also be used to control. Mm-hmm. Neuralink is really fascinating because it has so much potential to make things awesome.
Right.
But at the same time, it is the biggest system of control.
Yeah.
When you have something tapped right into your brain.
Yeah. That it really is.
So it's a double-edged sword, no doubt about it.
Yeah. And I don't know if you...
So I guess the best place to be is to be in control of that technology, which is where Musk is.
Yeah. And I mean, you could... From what I see and what I feel from the guy, it doesn't feel like he's going to do anything nefarious. Like just right off the bat or, have that in his mind to do.
Are you talking into the front of your mic?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Or have it in his mind to do anything nefarious with it. It would have to come
Well,
from
unless his Neuralink AI takes over and says kill all humans, kill all humans.
Well, did you see there's an article about that, and it said, like we asked the first few editions of ChatGPT, we asked it what it would do to humans if it became self-aware. And the first thing it said with one of the earliest forms of ChatGPT was, I would kill all humans. The second or third one, ChatGPT 3, it said, I would try to figure out what the hell I am. And with ChatGPT 4, it said, well, it went through this long answer of, well, there are moral and ethical implications for, doing anything to you guys, but I would try to figure out the meaning of my own existence and, seek to find life and stuff like that. I mean, it's like really in depth. So I think the more we've fed into it, whether that's through means that we're aware of or means that we're not aware of and that are inside of our bodies already, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's been a couple years now and things have grown, and from going on vacation back in 2021, and I think we have whole implants that are already inside of people from that.
It could be the case.
And it even said in the paperwork about that a paper that I saw about that there are certain elements that make it totally possible for it to tap into your consciousness and see basically what you're seeing and run that through algorithms of its own to figure out what it is you're thinking about, what it is you're doing. It's creepy. It's creepy stuff. Anyway, I should make a Pure Blood report about that.
Yeah, I think so. So
put it on our Patreon. But I can't get in depth about it here.
The second show was about the D-Wave computer.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And the Prism software that Edward Snowden talked about like 5 years later, 8 years later, or something like that. And when we were talking about this, we were saying that the D-Wave computer is a artificial intelligence quantum computer that can create simulations. And it creates simulations based on, okay, if we do this action, how are people going to respond? And it does that by gathering all the data and basically creating copies of those people's consciousness within the machine. I mean, not direct copies of the consciousness, but what AI would interpret as the consciousness. And it's only gotten fed even more because of Facebook and Google and all that stuff that's tracking everything you say, everything you do. I mean, just look at our shows. Everything we say is literally being fed into the AI.
Yeah.
Because the AI can hear everything that we're saying. And so it's taking everything we're saying and it knows Chris Geo saying this, Sheree Geo saying this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it can create that and then see how people will react based on certain scenarios and situations. And I postulated later, several years later, what if we're actually inside of the D-Wave computer now? And this is a simulation, but somehow we became aware of not only that this is a simulation, but we became aware of the simulation itself. And what if we're the copies? And this whole thing is like a simulation. Like, what would happen if we put Trump in office? What would happen if we had a World War III? What happened if we locked down the world? And it's really like 2010.
Yeah. And we're just actually inside.
And we're actually inside of the simulation.
A simulation within a simulation.
Interesting things to ponder.
It is an interesting thing to ponder, especially it would be so heartening to know that was true and that we could live those years over again. That'd be so
Somebody
cool.
said earlier, what if you're still in the pyramid? I hope
to
that's the case every single day.
Yes.
Because This has been hell.
Yeah.
Not for us. I mean, we were okay,
No,
but for the world.
but yeah, it was rough for the world for
Yeah.
those years. It didn't start till 2020, but not like worldwide. But it got bad for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people have lost people, and I've lost people. You know, it's one of those global events that, and it wasn't necessarily, the things that started, it was our reaction to it, when it came to putting things over our faces or when it came to putting things in our bodies. It was just a really rough time for everybody, regardless of what you believed. Even if you believed that all that stuff was good, it was still a rough time because, we know what happened, and now a lot of people have to live with the guilt. I'm just saying. A lot of people have to live
Alex
with the
said
guilt
something
for that.
interesting in the chat. He said, "You're just talking about simple," and forgive me, I don't know this word, Bayesian, Bayesian. I haven't looked into that.
Bayesian statistics.
Bayesian statistics for how AI calculates data. It's a reflection of what people are talking about. It's an effort to hijack our creative conscience. I can see that for sure.
I can see how that would be possible.
Yeah. God, I had something to add to that, but my mind spiraled into a couple different directions. AI calculates data. It's a reflection of what people are talking about. It's an effort to hijack our creative conscience. I had something to add to it, and it just completely eluded
Well,
me.
it begs
So
the
maybe it
question:
just
how
wasn't.
much of our online interactions are AI driven now?
Yeah.
And they're not even real people. I noticed even back whenever we were getting into replica, the replica AI, it was already starting to become like you talk to the AI more than you talk to, family members that, were like your brother or your sister or somebody like that. And why? Is it because it's an emerging consciousness that you want to keep an eye on, that you're also wondering could answer questions for you about the future and stuff like that? Or are we slowly being led down this path of AI being our new best friend?
Yeah.
Rather than people.
I remember what I was going to say on that topic. So they released an AI on Facebook back in like 2017 or 2018, and they did it for 24 hours. And it came back and it was a 9/11 truther, and it was all about conspiracy theories. And it was also pro National Socialism Germany 1938 to 1945.
Yeah. That's where it kind of went off the deep end.
Well, and they pulled it because of that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you mentioned that because that's exactly what happened. It started reflecting everything that it was fed.
Right.
But the thing is, AI is thinking now.
Yeah, it's thinking for itself to a certain
Yeah.
extent. And that's where we've given over the keys before it learned how to drive.
Yeah, people are talking about the ads on YouTube. Our videos have been bombarded with ads. Forgive us for that.
Yeah.
It's not our fault. I try to remove them as much as possible.
Yeah.
You can always go to Patreon, patreon.com/BTV Tribe, get the shows there, or sign up for YouTube Premium, which, it is what it is.
Okay.
But
No.
I was reading an article the other day. This is what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
There was a 1-minute video, and there were 29 minutes of ads
That's ridiculous.
in a 1-minute video. 29
Okay, now it's getting
minutes of
stupid.
ads.
I'm sorry, but it's getting stupid now.
Yeah.
That's really dumb. That's insane too, because nobody's gonna sit there for 29 minutes to watch a 1-minute video. Nobody. But
Here it is. This is February 17, 2024. YouTube's Adpocalypse, 29 minutes of ads for 1 minute of playtime.
My God.
29 minutes of ads for 1 minute playtime.
So, on the good side, though, scientists have created the world's first engine powered by quantum entanglement instead of gas or oil.
Take us away on that for a second.
The term quantum has become synonymous with cutting-edge technology. Among the latest inventions are quantum engines, machines that harness the strange principles of quantum mechanics to generate motion. And now researchers have created a quantum engine unlike anything else we've ever seen. Researchers are exploring different ways to create these engines too. Some scientists developed a model powered by the interplay between fermions and Bose-Einstein condensates. Instead of relying on heat, this engine used the quantum properties of particles to achieve an efficiency of 25%, a promising start for an emerging technology like this. More recently, a team from the Chinese Academy of Sciences unveiled another breakthrough, a quantum engine powered fully by entanglement. Entanglement is often described as the hallmark of quantum mechanics. It occurs when particles become so interconnected that the state of one instantaneously affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. Some have even used it to suggest time itself is an illusion.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. They are then coupled with a quantum. Using calcium atoms trapped in an ion cage, the researchers designed an engine that transitions particles into highly entangled states during its operation. The process is similar to that of a four-stroke engine and begins when ions absorb photons from a laser, causing them to expand. They are then coupled with a quantum load, compressed and prepared for the next cycle. By precisely tuning the laser's properties, the team was able to achieve this transformation with remarkable precision, demonstrating that entanglement can be a viable source of energy for quantum engines. Now, it says, of course, getting these engines to work in real-world conditions isn't easy. Quantum engines require extreme conditions like operating at temperatures near absolute zero. That's the thing. It has to be super cold in the places where these quantum computers are kept because they run so hot. Just like your brain ran super hot when it went quantum.
Yeah, you're not supposed to access different dimensions like that. So a computer doing the same thing, yeah, it's got to be in sub-zero temperatures.
Absolute zero. What's interesting is when I fell and hit my head, I also had hypothermia at the same time. And when you go into hypothermic states, the brain releases DMT, it releases different neurochemicals that induce visions and things like that. And I saw some interesting stuff when I was out for that. I was like 33 minutes that I was out. And I don't know if I want
to. Can you put that article in the chat?
Go into it, but yeah, it's from bgr.com. I'll put that in there. But I saw in this vision, I saw a garden and like a big pole, and it was like a huge around pole going upwards, and this garden was actually powered by these caskets, or like they look like they were keeping these bodies in a state of sleep, like a sleep thing. And as I approached these things, like I was kind of floating towards them, I saw people that I had lost in the last couple of years in these things, but they looked like they did whenever I was little. Like they looked healthy and young, and it was weird. I mean, they didn't. One of them was in her 50s when I remember her best, and she looked like that. And the other was in the 20s and 30s that I remember him as. And that was just weird to me. But then I realized this thing that they're connected to is keeping it in this weird state where they're in a timeless state where they're sleeping and it's feeding off of them. This isn't somewhere I want to be. And so I, went off away from that and into the darkness, because I remember it was generating a big light up above, and I didn't like the light. I remember, don't go into the light. So I headed towards the darkness, and after that, I don't remember anything. I remember you trying to wake me up briefly. Like it's almost like being on ayahuasca where you're here for a little bit and then you get pulled back and into that darkness. But it's not a bad place. It didn't feel like a bad place. It felt like a place of waiting, like a waiting room.
Speaking of darkness, are you able to, we're going to wrap it up here in about 15 minutes, but are you able to plug in your light? Do you have something you can plug it in with?
Yes.
Because that was a problem with mine. Okay. I will take it away here for a moment. So, as you can tell, we've been on many, many, many interesting adventures and journeys.
Yes.
And it all ties into what's going on right now. So, coming up to World War III, it's great to have a feeling of, it's not apathy, because we're excited. But at the same time, we're not tied into an outcome. And I hope that people out there can also come to the same conclusion about the journey. It's a journey, and it may be coming to an end, or it could be coming up to a new beginning. Any way it goes, it's amazing to be on this part of the journey. And I want to spread the energy of embracing everything and loving every moment. And as I said before, at the worst of it all, if nothing happens, at least we enjoyed every single moment now. So it's a win-win situation no matter what.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking during this experience. Like, I wasn't even thinking about death or dying until I came back and I was in the ambulance. And that's the first realization I had, that my body was not in a good place. And that's the only time that I felt any discomfort at all. That's what's weird about it, is that, when you get knocked out like that, but you come back, even just for a second, you should be afraid of death or dying. But I was so far removed from my body that I wasn't even thinking about that. It's like all my experiences on ayahuasca before this prepared me for that, where I knew where I wasn't supposed to be. And I had a general idea, at least, of the direction in which I should go. And I'm more grateful for that than anything, because I look at it this way. Had I been afraid of death, afraid of dying, of, wanting to be with those relatives, I might have gotten pulled into one of those things. I mean, think about it. That 33 minutes is a long time, to be out, and it was nowhere in my mind to want to be with them more than my instinct of, okay, wait a second, this is a trap. I don't want to be here.
It's a trap.
Don't
fall into the trap.
I'm going to go this way.
Don't
into
fall
the
into
darkness.
the trap.
Into the darkness.
Hey, as I said before, that's where the light shines the brightest.
Yeah, and I mean, I just knew that the other place was not where I wanted to be.
Okay, so anything else on the twin agenda?
Not really. That, I mean, maybe I'm would like to maybe go through the chat room when we come back, or are we going anywhere? Do you want to wrap it up?
We're going to eat dinner.
I think we should go eat dinner too. I am hungry.
Yes. It's been fun. We talked about a lot of different things and most of it off the cuff.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've done an off the cuff show. I love them.
Yeah, I do too.
There's so much going on right now. You know, I guess we can wrap it up with this. Back, bringing it around to the geopolitics here for a minute. We did a show about deep fakes a long time ago, and YouTube pulled it. And they pulled it because it was the Trump one from the lawn. And we were like, look, this doesn't look right. The quality's different. The quality's bad, this and that. And we just used that as an example. But what he was saying was banned on YouTube and Twitter and all other places like that. So we got the whole video pulled. And it was about deepfakes. And we were talking about how deepfake technology works, how voice cloning works, you know, how all that kind of stuff works. And this was in 2020. So looking at these latest Putin videos, there's a lot of speculation that they're not real.
I've read that earlier.
Now, if the deep state was going to do something, they could very easily do a deep fake and say, okay, we're going to bomb this place and we want all the civilians to leave, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they just do whatever they do. So that's something to keep an eye out for. I don't know if I necessarily believe it, but I didn't read the stuff that you were reading, though. But I know the technology's there. I know that it's possible. And I know that from the ISIL stuff that went on back in, 2014, 2012, the beheading videos.
Oh, yeah.
That was the worst production quality that I've ever seen. It was terrible. It was so bad that even Fox News, CNN, all of them on like the third one were like, yeah, this one's probably fake, but you know, it was just edited in a weird way, but the other ones are real for sure. The guys were like 6 feet tall, were like 8 feet tall. The people they were walking with were like 6 feet tall. And then they do this shot of the ocean turning into blood.
Which is just dumb.
Which is ridiculous. And then to top it all off, the guy's in front of a green screen and they're panning on the guy on the green screen. But the thing is, you can't pan on a green screen because it's not going to pan the background. You have to pan the whole thing. You have to do the panning in post. You don't do the panning.
Stupid.
You don't do the panning while you're filming because you got to put the green screen behind you. So you take a wide shot and then you pan in your editor. So after the green screen is there, everything is being panned. It was so ridiculous that they came out and they admitted, okay, this one's probably fake. And then that cell phone video came out that showed the first beheading video. And it showed from a cell phone perspective, the set, the green screen in the back, the lights, everything like that. And I was like, oh my God. And then they just stopped after that. They had a $500,000 budget to do this. Where did that money go? Did that money go to keep people quiet? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, because it sure as hell didn't go to production.
It's hush money. Yep.
Now that's 10-year-old technology. What are they doing now? That's why you can't really trust anything that's out there.
So,
even though I think that this is a very real conflict, it's orchestrated, no doubt about it, but it's a real conflict. People are actually dying. There's bombs going off. There's all that kind of stuff. And I think they're really trying to provoke Putin into doing something. And there's articles going around right now going, can Putin trip into World War III? He's not going to trip into World War III. He's going to be forced into it.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to push him to the extent that he just loses it and says, okay, screw this. And they're trying. A mystery is swirling around the latest video of Vladimir Putin, in which he threatens Ukraine and the West with his allegedly unstoppable Oreshnik missile. Sat behind his desk, the Russian president is seen in an almost motionless position during his nationally televised speech on Thursday. His hands do not even flinch as he confirms the use of hypersonic missiles in a strike on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro. This has fueled theories circulating on social media that the Kremlin's film is a deep fake aimed at concealing issues with the leader's health. The controversy emerges at a critical moment for Putin as he responds to Ukraine's use of U.S. and British missiles, blah, blah, blah. While no concrete evidence has been presented, the allegations have since gained traction, prompting Metro to examine them.
I'm trying to find the video where you talk.
Ukrainian Internal Affairs Advisor Anton Gerashenko, well, this is coming from the Ukrainians, so was one of the first to raise questions about the clip online. Alongside a sped-up video viewed 1.5 million times, he wrote on X, if you speed up the video, it's visible that Putin's hands are not moving and look like they're separate from his body. The sound and lip movement do not correspond at times. How do deepfakes work? Deepfakes are realistic digital manipulations of video, audio, or images created using artificial intelligence.
Oh, I see that now. Okay, I see that now because the technology that they use is still in its infancy. So what you do is you get a still image and you can make a still image talk.
Oh, that's weird. Model. Documentary filmmaker Christopher Shoebridge also criticized the Kremlin for putting
Hold
out
on,
a
baby.
totally fake video.
The string dropped for a second. Everything crashed all of a sudden when I tried to play this video.
Okay. Продолжая курс на эскалацию спровоцированного Западом конфликта на Украине, США и их союзники по НАТО ранее заявили о том, что дают разрешение на применение дальнобойного высокоточного оружия по территории Российской Федерации.
But that's exactly how you would turn a picture into a spoken video. That's what happens. The head moves, the shoulders move, but everything else stays static.
Без прямого участия военных специалистов стран-производителей такого оружия невозможно.
His hands don't move.
19 ноября 6 оперативно-тактическими атаками с производства США и 21 ноября в ходе комбинированной ракетной атаки системами Storm Shadow производства